Good morning, members. Can you hear me? And at the back, can you hear me? Fantastic. Thank you very much. It's a really great privilege to welcome all of you to this year's AGM, including those joining us actually here in the room today and those joining online from home. As you all know, this is my first time as a director and chair of the Co-op Group, and I'm really honoured to be able to lead today's AGM. And welcome to this most amazing setting here at the Co-op Live Arena. As you all know, it was touch and go there for a minute as to whether we would get here, but thanks to all the hard work and dedication of the teams, we've made it. Thank you to all of our colleagues who've worked so hard to make this event happen. As we all know, pulling off something this size is not an easy feat, and they've done a fabulous job. So we've got lots of people here in the room, got lots of people at home, and we did think we might have more people than have actually turned up, and we were going to use a separate space, but we're not using that space. So everyone who is actually physically here is in this room, which is fabulous. So we can keep going with the script, thank you. Keep going with the script. Keep going, thank you, thank you. So, as member owners, I would really like you to engage with our colleagues, and we've had some fabulous stands out there. Sorry, yeah, script back please, thank you. And I really hope you've had the opportunity to engage with our colleagues on the stands. All of the businesses are represented here today, and they've all put a lot of hard work into trying to bring things to life for you, our member owners. I'd also like to thank our singer, Daisy, who welcomed you all into the venue this morning. I don't know about you, but... Now, Daisy is from one of our Co-op Academies, Co-op Academy Swinton, and she won the Musician of the Year award across all of our academies. And she certainly brought a tear to my eye, and I know others have said the same. She is making history today by being the third act to play at this venue. And she set the standard for tonight for Eric Clapton, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. You might catch Daisy at another one of our events. So thank you so much, Daisy. We really appreciate it. It's really daunting to be standing up in front of a large audience, and you did a fabulous, fabulous job. So before we get on with the meeting, I just want to go through a few housekeeping points. The housekeeping video has been playing in the background as you're entering the hall. We are not expecting any fire drills today. And if for any reason we do need to evacuate the building or the fire alarm sounds, there will be an announcement on the public address system, and members should leave the room through the emergency exits. I think the nearest one is being just behind the stage to my left, so over there. If you need any assistance at all during the meeting, please reach out to one of the AGM team. You can see our AGM team are all in the blue t-shirts, and they're all the way around the hall. Now, unfortunately, due to an unforeseen issue, we do not have any BSL signers here today, but there is a hearing loop in place at the front of the room at the right-hand side. The meeting is being filmed live and will be broadcast on our YouTube channel next week. Now, we are in the arena, so the dynamics of the meeting won't be the same as you might be used to. The meeting will be about 3 hours, and we are not planning a set break. Therefore, please feel free to grab yourself a drink from the concession stand over there and move around quietly if you feel the need to move around. So before I start the meeting formally, I know we're all eager to hear the results of our member-nominated director elections. Over the last few weeks, as you know, our co-op members have been voting to elect 2 member owners to represent them on our board. Co-op members have also been voting for motions and to elect member owners to represent them on our National Members' Council. And you can see the results of the council elections and find out who represents you for your regional area on our council on our website. This year, eligible members have also been able to vote via our co-op app for the first time. And I don't know about you, but it was fantastically easy. I voted on the app, and it was so great. And I'm really pleased to say that following a dip in the last couple of years since the pandemic, turnout was about 38% higher on the voting than previous years, which is a fabulous, fabulous result. It's great to see so many member owners exercising their rights as owners to choose their representatives, and we have plans to do much more to empower more members to take part in our democratic process next year. Our council and board elections are run using a system of proportional representation, and you've been able to rank your favourite candidates in order. We had a really strong field of 6 candidates for the MND roles, and I had the pleasure of meeting all of them individually as part of the process. The results are being shown behind me, and I would like to thank all of the candidates for participating in the process. And I'm delighted to announce that Kate Allen and Christine Tackon were successfully elected to the board this year. So Kate has been a member-nominated director since 2021, as you know, and is a hugely valued member of our board, and I'm pleased to be working with Kate again for a further 3 years. And Christine Tackon will be new to our board and has extensive experience of our co-op and cooperative businesses more broadly, and I know she'll bring all of her skills and experience to represent you as part of our board team. So let's move on to the AGM proper now. So thank you for giving up your Saturday to attend what is our 9th AGM held under our new governance model. Today, we have the entire board with us on the platform. And for some of our board members, actually, like me, this is their first AGM. I'd like to just run through who's up here, and they will give you a little wave as I announce them. So Shireen, I think you all know, our Chief Executive. Rachel Izzard, our Chief Financial Officer. Rachel was appointed as our CFO in June last year, so this is her first AGM. Stevie Spring, our Remuneration Committee Chair. This, unfortunately, is Stevie's last AGM. She steps down in June, and we thank Stevie for all of her hard work and support over the last 9 years. Moni Mannings, a new INED. Moni also takes on the role as our Senior Independent Director, or SID. Adrian Marsh, who is an INED also and is chair of our Risk and Audit Committee. Luke Jensen, another new INED who joined us in February this year. Victor Adewale, this is Victor's last AGM as he steps down later in the year. And again, many, many thanks to Victor for everything he has done for the co-op. Rahul Pawar, one of our INEDs. Sarah McCarthy-Fry, one of our member-nominated directors. Paul Chandler, also one of our MNDs, and Paul is also stepping down after this AGM. He has now done 9 years. This is his last meeting, and we thank you, Paul, for your dedication and support over the last 9 years. Kate Allen, who now we know has been re-elected, will be taking on the role of the Remuneration Committee Chair for the board, and that's in place of Stevie later this year. This is the first time that one of our MNDs has taken on the role as chair of one of the board committees, and I'm really delighted that Kate has agreed to do it. We also have Denise Scott-MacDonald, our council president, and Dominic Kendall-Ward, our general counsel and group secretary, who's sat just behind me. Our final board member, an MND, Margaret Casely-Hayford, couldn't be with us in person today, but I know she has joined us online. So welcome to the board. I know they're going to be enormously helpful as we get through the course of this morning's agenda. We also have our senior team. The operations board is here right in front of me, actually, and our external auditors, Ernst & Young, as they are here every year. So before I move on to the plan for today, I just wanted to say, as I mentioned earlier, and I know you all know, this is my first AGM as your chair. Everything our co-op stands for, and the cooperative movement more broadly stands for, strongly aligns to my personal values, who I am, and what I care about. I'm incredibly proud and honoured to take on this role, and I'm really excited to work alongside everybody, all of you, everybody who's not here, to begin the journey to grow our business. All the team and I feel really strongly that our member owners are and should be at the heart of everything that we do at the co-op. And I'm genuinely excited to be your chair at this time as we really try and bring that to life. The co-op is 180 years young this year. The founding values and principles of the Rochdale pioneers back in 1844 have never been as relevant as they are in today's world. We live in times where individual voices don't necessarily feel listened to or heard, and we certainly live in times where people and communities within the UK feel isolated, sometimes left behind, and marginalised. The cooperative business model, as you all know, is a force for good that can build trust, that can listen and act, can help unite people and bring about positive and lasting change for the betterment of everybody. And over the last few months, I've witnessed what the power of cooperation can achieve, whether that's been through the campaign on retail crime, the enormous success of our apprenticeship levy scheme, or the increasing levels of economic value we've been able to return back to our member owners and their communities. None of the above would be possible if we were not a strong co-op. And we must all recognise the work undertaken by Shireen and her team to greatly improve our underlying financial strength. Rachel will take us through this shortly. I have actually two guardrails that I use when I think about the co-op. To be successful, we must engage and grow our member ownership base, and to be successful, we must also have financial stability. And actually, over the last 18 months, we've really managed to start moving both those two things forward. So through the morning, we'll demonstrate that we have an exciting vision and strategy for the future, one which places member ownership firmly at the heart and centre of our co-op, and one which will, in the coming years, grow our co-op and increase the value we can deliver for and on behalf of all of our members. The business showcases have also shown our work on membership and member value, as you've come into today. So now let me tell you about the plan for the day. Our agenda is slightly different to previous AGMs, and we've taken a lot of feedback over the course of the last 2 years, and we've split today basically a third sort of input from the leadership team to explain what's been going on, and 2/3 really wanting to listen and engage with you, our member owners. So we've taken the main themes from some of the recent feedback and ideas coming from our member owners, and later today we'll be holding our first members discussion. The outcome for today, alongside the survey, which I'll come on to in a moment, and the other side we have on what member owners care about, will help shape our future plans on what we're going to do on social value for our member owners and their communities. And we're at a pivotal point now, so all of your input is incredibly important. We will allow as much time as possible for this discussion, and therefore our look-back presentations will be slightly shorter than they've been in previous years. Our 2023 annual results received extensive coverage when they were announced back in April, and to ensure that you have the full picture on our 2023 performance, Shireen, Rachel, Stevie and Denise have given detailed pre-recorded presentations which were made available on the website last week for you to view online in your own time, hopefully in advance of this meeting. I will shortly hand you over to Council President Denise Scott-MacDonald, who is going to say some brief words on council activity, following which you'll hear from Shireen, our Chief Executive, our Chief Financial Officer Rachel, and our Chief Marketing and Membership Officer Kenyati Nelson, who are going to take you through co-op's performance over 2023 and, really important, the future vision driven by our goal to reach 8 million members by 2030. There'll then be some time for questions, and I just want to say now, and I will repeat it at the time, we're only actually going to be able to do one topic per question, because there's so many things that I know people want to engage on. So we'll allow one question per topic when we get to that. We'll then move on to the motions. There are 13 motions on the agenda. But before I hand over to Denise, a final call out from me. You will have noticed that over the last few months in the lead up to our AGM, we've been surveying our members to find out what matters most to them and what are the things they feel, as our member owners, we should take action on. Over 12,000 of us have joined in with this survey, which was fantastic. Although I would have loved us to have reached 5 million, because we do have 5 million active members. So there's opportunity if you've not done the survey, please do participate in it. It is open till the 24th of May, so next Friday. So it doesn't take very long, and we really do want your thoughts and ideas. So over to Denise, and thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Debbie. All right. Hello, everyone, and also hello, everyone online. You know, I think it was 2018, my first AGM, and I think we were in Manchester Central, and I was sitting out in the audience, and I couldn't believe, you know, in my position there was a man, the chief exec was a man, and the chair was a man. And a few years later, you know, it's absolutely amazing that the president is a woman, the chief exec is a woman, and the chief exec is a woman too. So, and let's all welcome Debbie to your first AGM. Anyway, let me give you our update. Over 100 years ago, after we were founded, and at a time today when many people are frankly fed up with the unfairness we see all around us, I truly believe that our co-op could not be more relevant today. We're different. We don't create money for a small group of investors. We're owned by our members, and we're accountable to you. We also exist to do right by others and the world we live in too. Thanks to the power of co-op members' voices and how they stood up against the violence of against our shop workers have been facing in our stores, we changed the law to make violence against shop workers a standalone offence. And that's a major, major improvement. We did that together. Absolutely. And that's what we can do as a co-op. Again, when I started on the National Members Council, we have someone called Sandra. I know Sandra's here today, and it was her story. Sandra's a colleague. And I remember her saying she didn't think anyone would listen to or hear what was going on in our stores. And I saw that campaign build and build and build and go all the way to Parliament. So it's a really great thing. And it was literally driven and championed by our council. We've also continued our commitment to sustainability and to our communities and made a genuine difference in that way. For example, we supported 45,000 members by having lots of conversations about mental health and well-being as part of a Time to Talk day in 2023. The last 12 months have been a big change for our co-op. We have grown our members base, and there are now 5 million members of us, and our goal is to go even further and add another 3 million by the end of the decade. Nearly 50% of our new members last year and the year before were under 35. We are creating the next generation of cooperators who want to make sustainability choices and who believe that we can do good. We have a responsibility to be successful cooperative business because the more successful we are, the more value we return to each and every one of you, our owners. This value comes in 3 ways. 1, back to you in your pockets through better prices on our products and services. 2, through the issues you care about and want us to take action on together. And 3, the way we listen to our members and invest in our co-op, so we're here to serve you in the long term. A key part of delivering our 3 values, which I just spoke about, is embracing what makes us unique. Our directors and our senior teams here today work for you. Your National Members Council work for you. Being owned by you and accountable to you means championing our history and pioneering our heritage and harnessing our collective strength and the power of cooperation. We need to listen to you, our members, about what you want, and we'll hear more about that in our members' discussion later. It's also about how we do things. Many of you chose us because we're ethical business that does the right thing. We have been at the forefront of responsible retailing for years. This year's the 30 years of fair trade, a better way of sourcing that our co-op spearheaded right from the start. We're the largest seller of fair trade wine in the world, and a lot of them are award-winning. So I recommend the fair trade wine. My favorite one is the Malbec. Absolutely. So David, you agree with me that it's absolutely brilliant. And the chocolate cake. Malbec and chocolate cake is absolutely wonderful. I'm proud that our co-op is leading the way in this new era of cooperation by putting you, the owner, at our co-op at the center, at the heart of our vision and our strategy, alongside plans for the future of what makes us different. Our 2023 results show that this is making a real positive impact on our members and also on our financial performance. But there is much more to do to make sure we deliver value for you in every way and to give you reason to choose us every single day. This isn't easy, and we won't always get it right for everyone. With 5.2 million members and 5.2 million of us, we have a duty to find the best way forward for our co-op and our owners collectively. It also means we might have to make difficult decisions, and we might not always agree. But that's also what makes us special. The power of cooperation is about what we can achieve together and how this benefits us, our fellow owners, and the world we live in. If we get this right, I firmly believe we will realize our potential, and I look forward to being part of this, building this over this next 12 months. Thank you for listening to me.
Hi, everyone. It is great to be with all of you here today. And Denise, thank you so much. Thank you also to all of our council members who I can see in the audience. I am immensely grateful for all of the support and challenge that you continue to give me and my team and our board, and ensuring that our member owners are at the heart of everything that we do. Now, when it comes to what our co-op achieved in 2023, there is plenty to share and for us to take pride in together. I'll cover some highlights before I hand over to Rachel Izzard, our Chief Financial Officer, for a more detailed overview of our financial performance. And then, sorry, but I'll be back again a little later to talk about our vision and our ambitions, and I'll also welcome any questions that you might have as part of our session at 11 a.m. It is so important to us that you understand how your co-op is performing and that you have a chance to be heard here today. So I'd like to start by saying that 2023 was a great year for our co-op, a year where we significantly increased our underlying financial performance, a year where we continue to deliver for our member owners, our colleagues, and our communities during the cost of living crisis, and also a year where we crystallized our thinking for the future, finalizing our vision and our strategy, which will herald a new era of cooperation. Now, despite a backdrop of continuing economic and political uncertainty, we made significant improvements to our operating profit and to our net cash levels, while further reducing the amount of money that we owe. We know that our debt levels were a concern for you, and I'm so proud to be able to say that over the last 2 years, our net debt has reduced by 90%. This is a remarkable achievement when you consider the headwinds that we've all had to manage. I'm also pleased to report that we delivered a strong sales performance across all of our business units: food retail, wholesale, funeral care, legal services, and insurance. And each of them saw an increase in revenue year on year, winning market share without incurring greater debt for our co-op. This is all a testament to the commitment of our amazing 56,000 colleagues who have worked so hard to deliver our products and our services, but also it's a result of your continued commitment and loyalty to the business that you own and that's here to serve you. Our increased strength and security allowed us to actively support you, our member owners, our colleagues, and our communities through the cost of living challenges of 2023. We made an annualized investment of £90 million in lowering food prices, and we also improved member offers to provide even greater value. We continue to support our communities through member owners choosing co-op, and we raised £24 million for our communities, with over 4 million people benefiting in our member owners' communities on the issues that they care about. By the end of 2023, over £23 million had been pledged by over 80 organizations to our co-op apprenticeship levy share scheme, matching 2,000 apprenticeships to more than 140 different roles. In 2023, we also made a commitment to invest £1 million in the work of our academies, which includes creating greater access to food through our 4 community fridges.
Sharine, I'm so sorry for interrupting this lovely cooperative AGM. If you don't mind, we're only going to stay here for 1 minute. The cooperative failed its members, animals.
Yeah, go down the steps, please. Just be careful. Be careful. Come on, be careful. Yeah, fine. I recognize that these are issues that people care about. We've got questions coming up on this topic. I respect the concern and I respect the question, so thank you, and we will come to this topic later. I was talking about our £1 million investment into our academies, and that also included creating greater access to food through 4 community fridges. And actually, the community fridge at our academy in Failsworth alone supports almost 150 families a week. Now, if we hadn't pursued important investments like this, our profit before tax would have been about £50 million higher. And we did that because of what we are and what we stand for, because it's absolutely right that we invest in people and our communities, especially during difficult economic times. And when it came to membership, we exceeded our ambitions. Over 1 million new members joined our co-op in 2023, and the number of active members reached over 5 million. And that's the highest figure in over 8 years. We also saw our next generation of cooperators grow, as active member owners under the age of 25 rose by 52%. Now, Kenyatta Nelson, our Chief Membership and Customer Officer, will be on stage shortly to share more detail about how we plan to grow our active membership in the years ahead, and in doing so, create more value for you, our member owners. As a result of what was achieved in 2023 and the strong foundations that we've put in place, and despite the markets in which we are operating being very difficult, we have started 2024 with confidence and the conviction that our vision will deliver a sustainable and differentiated co-op for the long term. Our success will be achieved by maintaining our core values, contributing to communities, and campaigning on those issues that matter most to our member owners. Now, I'll be back shortly to talk about how we plan to make the most of this, of being in a position of real strength. But first, I'll hand over to Rachel to give more detail on our financial performance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharine. And to those of you that I've not already met, hello, I'm Rachel Izzard. I'm the Group Chief Financial Officer, or CFO, of our co-op. Now, I attended this AGM this time last year as a visitor, and then joined Sharine and the team in the following month. So this is my first AGM in the role and my first full set of results here. And it's an absolute privilege and a pleasure to have joined our co-op as the Group CFO and to be presenting these results that have been delivered by all of our amazing colleagues. Now, our colleagues have run our business as effectively as possible, managing every pound tightly so we could face into the volatile external conditions of the last few years. But I also recognise the role of your continued loyalty here, our member owners, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you all and all our member owners for the support this year. Now, looking to the 2023 results, as an intro before I walk you through the numbers, I have to agree with Shireen. Our co-op is in a far stronger financial position than it has been for many years. And 2023 saw improvements in underlying revenue and profitability, as well as further strengthening of our balance sheet, which is critical at this time where interest rates remain high and conditions remain challenging. Now, within that, we made considered and well-controlled investment choices and stayed in control of our financial health. And all of that has allowed us to provide even greater value as a co-op, with our support to you, our member owners, our colleagues, and our communities through this cost of living crisis. So with that context to start us all off, I'll move on to the key financials and how we performed in 2023. Hopefully, slides have come up. So now I find the simplest way to step through financials in an accessible way is to start at the top of the profit and loss and work our way down and onto the balance sheet. So let's start at the top with the level of sales to our customers and member owners, which should be at the left on the screen. Now, sales performance was robust. At a group level, we generated revenue of 11.3 billion. Now, that was down 2% year on year. However, this was driven by the strategic disposal of the petrol forecourts in the prior year in 2022. So 2022 had 10 months worth of trading from those petrol forecourts. Now, if we exclude this from the baseline, on more of an apples with apples basis, sales were up by 5% or £500 million. And pleasingly, as Shireen said, all of our business units contributed to that sales growth. Now, also of note within that is we've really focused on improving our core profitability in the current food and funeral care locations so that we can really return value as we grow, rather than just buying stores and chasing sales for little or no return and for balance sheet strength. Now, if we move down the profit and loss, in the middle of the slide, you should be able to see EBITDA, which stands for earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, which EY will understand, but probably the rest of you won't. But EBITDA is our trading earnings, and this is our revenue, less the running costs for our co-op, but before we take account of the big assets that we use. Now, EBITDA in the year was 468 million, and that was broadly flat with the prior year. That flat position was a really solid financial result. Within that, we offset more than 200 million of inflationary cost pressure across pay awards, suppliers and energy. We also offset the loss of the petrol forecourt earnings. And finally, we offset the cost of investments, such as the 90 million annualised reduction in food prices, including member pricing, our continued commitment to the 30% colleague discounts, and continued support of our local communities. Now, to offset those headwinds, the funds it took to offset them all were generated by solid commercial trading across all our business units and combined with the major cost efficiency focus that all of our colleagues played a real part in. So moving to the right of the slide, after EBITDA, we then need to pay for the cost of the big assets that we use. So after we pay for the principal on our mortgages and our leases, we get to something called underlying operating profit, which was 97 million for the year. And that was a £14 million improvement on 2022. And that really shows the focus on improving the contribution made by our current food and funeral care estate with really well-controlled mortgage and lease costs. And that's all part of resizing and reshaping our co-op to be well set to then return to profitable growth. So moving on, we now get to full profit or loss before tax, or PBT. And this is where we take account of the interest costs on our debts and our leases. Now, interest costs were significantly lower this year, despite the high Bank of England base rates. And that was because we really benefited from reducing our level of debt safely at this volatile time. So our underlying PBT level, whilst we still made an underlying loss before tax of 2 million, this was 46 million better than last year, really benefiting from both the improved day-to-day performance, but also those much reduced interest costs from getting control of our balance sheet. So we're now really close to getting back into an underlying profit position, which is where we really aim to be as a sustainable, profitable co-op fit for our future. So finally, at statutory PBT level, at the far side of the graph, this includes the one-off or volatile debits and credits, and at that level, we made a statutory profit of 28 million. And that was up 79 million year on year if we exclude the big oddity of the one-off profit from the prior year on the sale of our petrol forecourts. So now that covers the profit and loss, revenue growth across all our business unit areas, and profitability metrics all improving. Sorry, the CFO shouldn't stumble on profitability as a word, should I? So profitability metrics all improving. Now, I've shared, as Shireen and Debbie alluded to, we've shared more detail in the performance split by each of the business units in the embarrassing pre-event videos that you can see on our website. And that's also the home of our full annual results. So have a look on the website. It goes into more of the detail area by area. But I'll use most of my time here to talk group level and keep it high level for today. So moving on from the P&L, I'll now go into the cash and balance sheet and show the continued improvement in balance sheet health, which has been a real focus for the last couple of years in particular. Now in 2023, off the back of this profitability, we really made further improvements, and they came from cash generation from operations. Now, net cash generated from operations is the day-to-day cash before we then invest in asset costs across capital and leases, pay for the one-offs, or cover our financing and tax costs. So that day-to-day net cash from operations is similar to the trading earnings we discussed on the earlier P&L slide called EBITDA. And EBITDA was 468 million in the year. However, successfully in 2023, the cash generation from operations actually exceeded EBITDA and was 602 million in the year. And that was 147 million better than the prior year. Now, this reflects a combination of both all that great work to hold EBITDA flat despite the headwinds, plus a real focus on improving something called working capital. And this covers where we look to recoup what we're owed in a timely manner. We make sure we pay bills on time, and we really manage stock levels well, particularly looking at Matt for this. And now that we have some of our tech solutions and they've settled in across our supply chains, we're really realizing some of that potential and seeing the catch-up of the benefits of that well-managed stock position. So a really good result in terms of cash generation, and this, combined with careful management of investments, enabled us to further reduce our net debt. Now, moving on to the net debt slide. Net debt is a combination of the cash we have, less the core debt we owe, and this is the light blue bar on this graph. But then we also take account of the outstanding lease payment debt, which is the dark blue. So if we stay with the light blue, at the end of 2023, our core net debt was 82 million, and this was 240 million lower than the year before, and more than 800 million lower than 2 years ago. Now, that 800 million reduction is due to a combination of, yes, in 2022, we had the cash benefit from selling the petrol forecourt sale, but we also focused on maintaining our cash earnings despite those headwinds, getting our working cap into control, getting our balance sheet back under control so we could lower interest costs, controlling capital investments really carefully, and that really came together to help us make that significant reduction in core net debt. And that's a really strong place to be for our balance sheet health, and it really sets us up well for the future. So, to summarize our 2023 results, we delivered robust sales growth across all of the group. We offset significant headwinds and maintained trading earnings in a resized and reshaped footprint. We improved bottom line profitability, and finally, we generated cash to further strengthen our balance sheet. Now, that performance in 2023 leaves us in a great place to move on to profitable, sustainable growth. So looking ahead, 2024, frankly, is just as challenging externally. So we will continue to focus on cost efficiency and looking after that health of our balance sheet. But we're also incredibly excited to build on the momentum at the back end of last year that we established to look forward and grow our co-op profitably. So with that, I will close out and say thank you again to all our amazing colleagues and to you also as our member owners who helped deliver these results for the year of 2023. So thank you for listening and the part you played in what I've been able to share today. With that, I'll hand back to Shireen to speak for what's next for our co-op. Thank you.
Just checking to see that I'll be the only one on stage now. I love the passion of our members, and you can't knock that. So thank you very much, Rachel, for your overview of our financial performance and also for relaying it in the way that you do. I've been getting messages from my friends saying, you've got an amazing CFO. I can't believe how she delivers the numbers. So it made me very proud. Thank you. So I hope that you'll all agree with me that when I say these results for 2023, which we first shared in April, clearly show that we are a co-op back in control of our business and of our destiny. We should really feel a true sense of pride for what we've achieved and what that has meant for you as our member owners and for the communities where we all live. And we want to keep this momentum into 2024 and beyond. Our new co-op difference and vision statements will hold us to that as they place member ownership firmly at the heart of our decision-making and our co-op. In developing our group strategy last year, we knew that remaining true to our heritage and amplifying what sets us apart from others would be as important as ever. And we wanted to further embrace and celebrate the role that our member owners have always had in our business. Now, we define our co-op difference as being owned by and run for our members, not a small group of shareholders. The more our members choose us, the more value we create for our member owners and their communities. And our new vision to cooperate and to build more value for our member owners every day is about ensuring what we deliver remains important and meaningful to you as those who best define what our co-op is, why it's here, and why it's different. Now, on that note, we have an exciting and ambitious growth strategy for membership, but I won't say too much for now because Kenyatta Nelson, our Chief Membership and Customer Officer, will be here shortly, and he will share some of the plans that we have to unlock even greater economic, social, and ownership value for our member owners in the years to come. What I will say, though, is that we're already off to a great start for 2024. We know that when we come together through our campaigning activity, we can lead the way and make a real difference on the issues that matter most to you. And I'm particularly proud of the impact that we've had on retail crime, which recently led to the government U-turn on making violence against shop workers a standalone offense. Now, this was a brilliant example of cooperation and action as a truly member-led campaign, and it had the support of other independent cooperative societies and our NISA partners who all played their part in delivering societal change. Also today, I'm proud to announce that thanks to our member owners, customers, and colleagues, we've now raised $2.5 million of our $5 million fundraising target for our partnership with Barnardo's to support 750,000 young people across the UK. Our efforts to hit this target truly align to our vision. This partnership will develop online support that will reach into all our communities, and it sits alongside our other work to help young people build skills and create opportunities for their future. And when it comes to our co-op's future, commercially speaking, we're set to accelerate our growth ambitions and simplify how we run our business. To help us clarify and tailor what we do and so that our businesses can succeed, we've created 3 core areas within the group: food retail, business to business, and life services. Having clear and distinct approaches for each core area will help us to be vigilant for new opportunities, but also pursue growth in our existing markets more easily. For example, we plan to increase our share of the quick commerce market in food to 30% over the next 4 years, and to add a further 400 new NICE stores in 2024. And as we deliver on the strategy, we will ensure that your voice, as our member owners, is heard as we take important steps forward. We'll continue to keep you informed and involved, but also stay close to our National Members Council and to our colleague member population who understand both our business and the communities that they serve so well. Our brilliant colleagues will continue to seek every opportunity to work more efficiently, protect every penny of our member owners' money, and reduce the cost to run our business. And that will be critical in allowing us to continue to invest in our co-op and achieve our vision of returning more value to you, especially during the turbulent times that we're in right now, which are challenging our families, our communities, and our country, as well as the international community and our planet. The momentum now within our co-op is palpable. It's undeniable, it's unstoppable, and it's exactly what is needed, as the last few years have presented all of us with so many challenges. The UK needs a strong and differentiated cooperative movement. It needs more member ownership, and it needs more businesses of genuine purpose. And through the true power of collaboration between ourselves and in partnership with other cooperative societies and like-minded organizations, we will create a new and golden era of cooperation. Thank you so much again for your continuing support and for making our co-op a truly special and unique business. And now I'll hand over to Kenyatta to talk about the future of membership. Thank you.
Good morning, Vietnam. Hello, my name is Kenyatta Nelson. I have the privilege and pleasure of serving with you as your Chief Member and Customer Officer. I'll start by saying I'm going to be, this is made for short people, hold on. Sorry, no offense. I'm going to be painfully consistent and start by talking about the co-op difference. We are owned by and run for our members versus shareholders. The more our members engage with us, the more value we can create for our member owners and for their communities. And you'll also be familiar with our vision, which is, Shireen just mentioned, cooperating to build more value for our member owners every day. And this bit of language that we've created with you, the National Members Council, and with our colleagues, was also the driving force behind all of the work that we did last year in the context of evolving our membership proposition. Membership and member ownership sits at the center of our strategic intention for the business for the next few years, and frankly, for the foreseeable future of this business. Our work on our co-op difference and our vision set up the perfect platform to evolve our member ownership proposition across 3 key but equally important elements aiming to make membership both irresistible and indispensable. Economic value, which is the value derived when buying our products and services. Social value, value derived on the things our member owners care about. And last but certainly not least, ownership value, which is the value delivered by owning and having a say in how our co-op is run. I think it's fair to say that we've made some good headway in moving towards more fully realized value in each of these 3 areas. But there's still lots to do. But what I'm going to do is share some highlights that explains what progress has looked like over the last 12 months. As a starter, we have the new language around the co-op difference, member ownership, and the meaning behind what makes us different. Thank you again for the role that you all have played in helping us to articulate this. We rebalanced our membership proposition specifically in the context of not just economic value, but also social as well as ownership value. We've created a greater value for our member owners in the context of everyday essentials, and we've invested significant pound notes into pricing, but not just on any brand. We invested into the products and brands that are important to you, our member owners, and have been through the cost of living crisis. And as part of offering the best and most meaningful support to you during the challenges, we've evolved our membership proposition so that it could create sustainable value through economic challenges while still supporting local community causes. Connected to all this, we have also indefinitely extended the 30% member colleague discount. And we've made progress by putting membership at the heart of everything that we do as a business, and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. As Shireen mentioned, we are a member-owned organization. It is fundamentally what makes us different, and we've seen over the last 12 months, and I think this demonstrates this and has allowed us to deliver some fantastic results. It also explains why we are able to grow the number of our active member-owner base effectively and efficiently this last year. Many of you will remember, as I stood on stage last year, we started 2023 at 4.2 million active member owners. We ended 2023, however, with over 5 million active member owners, and as I speak to you now, today, we sit comfortably at around 5.4 million active member owners. Our member owner penetration, the proportion of spend made by members in co-op food stores, started the year at 31%. We have now reached 37%. That is the highest we've seen on record for this business. Our latest figures for shopper frequency, which is a representation of how many times a shopper comes into and shops a co-op store every 12 weeks, is now 12.9%. That is up from 12.5% at the start of this year. Our members are also spending more with us, and member spend in the cooperative is up 22% year on year. And our co-op's price and availability is more competitive, and we're beating the market consistently in convenience shopping. Matt just mentioned to me earlier this morning that our switching data, which we'll review next week, our switching data that says losses and gains from our co-op to other competitive brands is the best that we've seen in quite some time. For 2024, we continue with our momentum and our track to reach our stretch target for this year, 5.6. I think with a fair wind, we can hit 6 million members by the end of the year. Rachel, if you're there, don't kill me for saying that. By 2030, however, the ambition is to get to 8 million active members, which will be roughly 11 to 12% of the UK population. It's almost doubling the size of our member owner active base and a huge growth ambition for this business. We will continue to define member owner value in 2024 and beyond. Importantly, however, the ambition here is to make sure that we're creating something that is not just loyalty. It has to be beyond loyalty. Lots of businesses and competitors in this space have loyalty programs. Our membership proposition is more than that. You've heard us talk about the 3 elements of value. That's economic value, social value, and ownership value for our member owners. We'll continue to realize these aspects of membership for you this year. Let me start by talking about economic value. We will continue to invest in creating value across co-op, but not just in food, but also in our life services businesses. We are getting to work, and we're going to make it really easy for customers across our cooperative who trade with our life services businesses to become members. And members will always get more when trading with our life services businesses, predominantly through better pricing, but also other benefits tailored to the product or service that they are purchasing. We will look to electrify membership with the launch of Co-op Live, which, as we know, faced some significant challenges during the opening season, but we're confident that this will be a phenomenal asset to the business, and we continue to see growth in member owner numbers throughout access to pre-sale tickets. In fact, to date, we have seen over 250,000 member customers sign up specifically for Co-op Live notifications, and we've seen big spikes in member registrations. I think the number now sits at around 100,000 when we announce new artists to the venue. We have now launched member pricing across the 5 convenience locations we have in the venue, and we plan on extending the economic value we create across the venue. We're also currently trialing booster missions, which are rewarding members for visiting us frequently. We will soon be trialing product-based missions in time for Fair Trade Fortnight. We'll be rewarding members for buying fair trade products, ensuring that economic rewards are also supporting the key principles of cooperation. Now I'll move to the second, which is social value. This is about understanding the things our member owners care about and where we can empower them to make a difference for themselves and for their local communities. In that context, we continue to enable our members by giving them the opportunity to select community causes, to be supported by the local community fund this year in 2024. Additionally, from now until the end of the calendar year, for every £5 a member spends in any co-op location, they will be entered into a prize draw that can see them win up to £500 for themselves and $5,000 for the local community cause that they've selected this year. To date, we've had 5 million prize draw entries. You can see a few of the winners here. We're looking to celebrate them through the course of this year. And in fact, the engagement of our members has meant that we're currently sitting at plus 60% versus our 2024 target for member participation. A lot of this has been driven by the work that we've done over the last several months to encourage our members to engage in this way. Moving forward, however, we'll be doing a lot more in this area, speaking to and getting feedback from our members in this space to really understand the issues that matter most to them. In that context, our latest member survey, which was fielded, I believe, at the end of March, has been hugely successful in getting feedback with over 12,000 members engaging. We are starting to get a clearer and much sharper view of what our members care about and what they want us to take action on. We will be using this insight and continued engagement with council to shape our thinking as we evolve our strategy and ambition for our evolving social value strategy and how we create social value and the way we deliver social value through our campaigns and through local communities. And finally, but certainly not least, I want to talk to you a little bit about ownership value, which is the value that we derive from owning and having a say in the co-op that you own as a member. Now, obviously, being here today and casting your vote is all about putting the direction of this business in your hands, literally and figuratively. This year, however, we have launched an important and specific owner value proof point. I think Debbie mentioned it earlier. For the first time, we now have in-app voting, and it's driving our overall voting turnout up 130%. I think Debbie mentioned 38% growth year on year, which is absolutely a phenomenal result. Ownership value has been the area of the business that, particularly in recent years, we have really struggled to communicate to our member owners. What does it mean to own a co-op? We found it difficult to help our member owners understand, to help them see the true value that is unique in our proposition and what that proposition offers to them. So the last thing I'll talk about quickly is a project we've affectionately called Reintroducing the Co-op, which will communicate what it means to be a cooperative business as something that is irresistible and indispensable, and what it feels and how that even feels more accessible to own and be a part of that movement. This will be happening towards the end of this summer, but effectively it's about introducing and saying to our members, our colleagues, and our customers that a co-op simply is a better way of doing business because we do right by people. As Shireen mentioned before, the world needs more cooperative businesses and the world needs a strong cooperative movement. And that is because, connected to our difference, we are member-owned, which means we are born with a different set of values and driven by a different set of decisions. This means, as it did all those many years ago when we were founded in 1844, we continue to be on a relentless quest to do the right thing for people, community, and for planet. In fact, if you were inventing a business today, I think this is the kind of business that you would invent. And I hope that what you see here is an inextricable link between the vision, the difference, and what we'll be talking about later this year when we reintroduce the co-op.
So thank you, Shireen, Rachel, and Kenyatte. I think that's really brought to life where we closed 2023 and what we've all got to look forward to in 2024. So before we move on to the question and answer session, you will recall that at last year's AGM, the board committed to investigate opportunities to improve animal welfare, something we take really seriously and it is very much at the heart of what we talk about, including the remaining aspects of the Better Chicken commitment, and that we would report back at this AGM where we'd got to. So we have been updating all of you, all of our members, throughout the year, including at the join-in live sessions that people have participated in, and member videos. And I'm now going to ask Kate, who's one of our member-nominated directors, to give you a summary of where we've got to and what our decisions are.
Thank you, Debbie, and good morning, everybody. It's great to be here and see you all today. I think this morning has demonstrated to us how passionate many people feel about animal welfare, and I would class myself in that category, having been a truly passionate advocate for animal welfare, not just poultry welfare, for decades now. But I think it's really important that we share with you this morning the things we've done, the things we're planning, and the things we're still thinking about as we move forward. But I don't want anybody to come away from today thinking that animal welfare is not right in the heart of our ethical business, and that passion is something that is shared, certainly by Shireen. We feel very strongly about it, so please do not underestimate how important it is to us. So last year at the AGM, we made 2 commitments in response to the motion raised on animal welfare and the British Chicken commitment. The first one was that we committed to move to a lower stocking density across all fresh chicken by the end of 2024. Working with a cross-functional team within the business and in collaboration with our supplier, we actually delivered on that commitment 10 months ahead of schedule, and it was implemented in February of this year. So today, all fresh chicken varieties, including whole birds, breasts, thighs, drumsticks and wings, in all 2,400 stores are there under the Space to Thrive branding and are sourced from farms at a criteria of 30 kilos per metre squared, which actually has given the chickens 20% more space than the standard red tractor. Having delivered successfully phase 1, we're now moving to phase 2, and the plan is that we will see all of our British chicken, which is used in added value poultry products, such as breaded, will also move under the Space to Thrive branding. And actually, this does continue to place us at the forefront of chicken welfare, which is where we know you, our member owners, plus our colleagues and our customers, all expect us to be. The second commitment we made was to explore the implementation of the final element of the Better Chicken Commitment, or BCC, which is to move to a slower growing breed. I do want to point out firstly that our free-range chicken already meets the BCC and does use a slower growing breed, but we know it was and continues to be important for us to consider all the implications. We need to make our decisions based on data and on insight, and make the decisions that are right for our co-op and its members, balancing and taking into account all the things that they care about. Our concern was that moving to the slower growing breed would cost significantly more, which would impact both our business and the retail cost of chicken. It would have a significant land space usage impact, which will put demands on farmers, and also have a potential environmental sustainability impact, and the measures of that are not yet fully clear. So we've taken a lot of time since the last AGM to gather more data, to get more insight, and to use others' expertise to check those concerns and inform the decision that we've currently made. So some of the ways we've done that over the last 12 months is we've engaged with a wide range of stakeholders to understand the impact of the breed on chicken on welfare, on farmers, and on our members. The stakeholders were wide-ranging, but they included our suppliers, chicken breeding companies, and animal welfare leaders such as the RSPCA. We undertook a number of visits, which included members of the council, the board, and the executive to review the whole of our chicken supply chain firsthand. And we also undertook a fact-finding trip to the Netherlands to see how at a retail level they have transitioned to the slower growing breed. We've also listened to our members because we do need to understand what's really important to them, and that has happened through several discussions at council. But we then also conducted a piece of insight research among our member owners to build on this. And the feedback that we had from our members is that welfare is very important, particularly when buying chicken, but it is not the only factor. Interestingly, the right balance of pricing and quality came out as the most important factor. Support for British farmers was a close second, because provenance and trust is a big part of a consumer's buying habit. And then came sustainability and welfare. So when we put all of this together, that highlighted to us the importance of being open-minded to all these different elements while finding the right solution for our co-op. And as it stands today, when we've balanced all these factors and the data, our current conclusion is that moving to the slower growing breed is not the right answer for our co-op, and we will not be changing breed at this time. But I will go back to what I said at the start. We are totally committed to improving animal welfare, and we are passionate about making sure it features in our decision-making processes. So we will continue to balance all of the issues and the considerations as we move forwards, and we will absolutely fully engage our member owners on this journey to make sure we continue to make the right decisions for our co-op. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. I think that was a very comprehensive summary of where we've got to and what our plans are going forward. So we have now about 40 minutes for the Q&A. If you could, I'd ask you to try and keep your questions short, because we really want to hear from as many people as possible on as many topics that we can cover today. It's really important to us that we hear live what's on our member owners' minds. Now, we have people in the room, obviously, and we have members watching online. And so if you're here in the room, please put your hand up and a mic will be brought to you by one of our AGM team. Please do introduce yourself before asking the question. And if you're online, please put your question in the question box. If you do want to ask it live, please type live into the question box. We've also had some questions pre-submitted, and I think, and Russ is going to help me navigate all of this. Thank you very much, Russ. So I think before we take questions in the room, we're going to start with a pre-submitted question. So Russ, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, so the first question is from Vita Seren. What percentage of profits does the co-op give to charity, and how does this compare with the likes of Tesco, Sainsbury's and Morrison's?
That's super. Thanks, Russ. And I know this is really central to a lot of what our member owners expect of us. So I'll answer that one if I may. We know that in the tough economic environment over the last few years, that FTSE 100 companies, charitable donations have declined by 17% in real terms since 2017. We at the Co-op have not followed that trend, and we've kept overall levels of funding for community in 24 consistent with last year. We donate about 0.3% of our £11 billion worth of revenue to charities and to communities, and that compares to a retail sector score of about 0.15%. So we actually give back more than double what our retail sector competitors would do. And undoubtedly, you know, that's based on the basis of size and market share. In terms of donations to local causes in our member owners' communities alone, more than £107 million has been shared with over 36,000 unique community projects through our local community funds since 2016, with the current round of causes expected to receive more than £7 million this year. As you know, we also support our members' communities through charity partnerships. Sharina's already mentioned Bernardo's, and we try to address key social challenges in selected locations, investing about just over £4 million in 2023. That includes, again, Sharina's mentioned this, our community fridges, mental wellbeing and bereavement support, and positive environmental action. We also donated £2 million to our charity, the Co-op Foundation, in 2023. It is the major charity partner for Co-op Live for this venue. And just so you're all aware, Co-op Live, the owners of this venue, will donate at least £1 million a year to the foundation each year to support positive futures for young people. That was part of the commercial deal which we negotiated with the owners. So all of this activity responds, by the way, to your views, our member owners. What is it you'd like us to spend the money on? Where should it go? And as you've heard, we're currently looking at how we focus even more closely on the issues that our member owners care about. I referenced the online questionnaire earlier. So we're going to take a question from the floor, and I think Aaron Parr is in the meeting, who actually, he did submit a question online, but we said as he's here in person, we'll take a question from Aaron on chicken welfare. Thanks, Aaron. Can someone bring Aaron a mic, please?
Thank you very much. I just want to start off by saying thank you to all the members who've kept chicken welfare as a priority, including all the members who went up on stage earlier. I think that was very, very brave. And my question is on the Space to Thrive. I saw the posters in and around all of the Co-op stores, and I felt initially very, very proud that members were able to do that, and I just want to congratulate everyone for pushing that through. But I also felt very angry because the idea of space to thrive means that the animals are actually going to have decent lives, and unfortunately that's not the case. If we're looking at other competitors who have already initiated this stocking density or stocking density on some levels, we're looking at Tesco with room to roam, Morrison's with space to roam, Sainsbury's happier and healthier birds. They're not saying thrive because they know that's not the case. Thrive inherently means being able to relish life. And if we're thinking about stocking density commitments previously, Co-op actually made this commitment in 2010 and then backed out of it in 2012. We're also looking at Lidl, who've just made this commitment already as well, and they are a discounter. We're also seeing members' prices on chickens. So a lot of these arguments of like, we don't have the money to do this, well, we're offering discounts on chicken. So my question is, why is Co-op using Space to Thrive marketing for fresh chicken sales when the majority of chickens raised for meat are fast-growing breeds which are bred to grow so quickly that they will suffer and therefore not be able to thrive in any environment? Why is that the case?
Thanks, Aaron, very much for your question. And I think I'll ask Kate to respond. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Aaron. Thank you for the question. I'm not going to repeat a lot of the things that I've just said, but so the first thing I wanted to say, there was, with the Space to Thrive, we did do research on that, and actually our members and customers felt that Space to Thrive was a branding and a labelling that resonated with them and was very clear on shelf, that they could understand that that poultry they were buying absolutely was sourced from farms where there was a much reduced stocking density and increased space to move. What we've been doing since February is continuing to monitor the welfare benefits that has brought. We've also already seen a significant reduction in hot markings. We've seen a significant reduction in pododermatitis. We're waiting for the feedback on antibiotic usage. So when we make these decisions and implement them, we look at everything that could be impacted and we monitor to make sure it's making a difference. Our feedback from our members, again, has been a great deal of comfort with Space to Thrive. We're seeing the animal welfare benefits coming through. And as time goes on, as I said earlier, we will continue to feed all of this information, data and insight, that we're monitoring what we've done, and it will continue to be a debate that we have to make our next move and decide how we want to move forward on poultry welfare.
Thank you, Kate. Please rest assured we will continue to monitor this very, very closely, and it is a regular topic both at the board meeting and at council meetings. So I'd like to move on to the next question. I have a lady who's holding a brochure, a lady in a white jacket, I think. If you could introduce yourself and then ask your question, that'd be super, thanks.
Sure. My name is Anne McCormack and I shop daily at the Co-op in Billinge, and I think the workers there are absolutely marvellous. And thank you all for the presentations today. They've been extremely interesting. I was born into the Co-op movement. My dad started as a delivery boy at age 14, and he stayed with the Co-op until he died in 1970. We have our divvy number, which many, many people relied on, has bought us shoes. Our number was 49 for St Helens Industrial Cooperative Society. Since the change on the card from saving points to giving discount has caused a lot of confusion and a bit of upset for lower income families. People have mentioned it to me, and the staff in the store have mentioned it to me. Lots of people would save the points that they got on their cards until Christmas. Then they could splurge. They could get the things for their kids, Christmas stocking fillers, chocolate oranges. But now, when it takes 50p off your bottle of wine or whatever, that money is wasted on a lot of people. I wonder if we could move back to having a choice so that either I could get 50p off my fair trade Malbec and others could save it so that they could get treats for their children at Christmas. I don't think it would be too much to ask that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. I'm actually going to ask Shireen if you'd just like to respond to that. Thanks, Shireen.
This was something that we thought really long and hard about. And when we asked our members what was most important to them, especially during the cost of living situation that we've been in for some time and continue to be in, the overwhelming feedback we got was that they wanted us to offer them better prices on everyday essentials. And when you look across our member base at that savings that they would get on an annual basis, it was somewhere between £6 and £12 a year. Whereas if we could take that money and put it into the essentials, we were able to offer them the cheapest prices on the things that they consumed the most and needed the most in convenience. And that is something that we're very, very proud of. We have not started with offering member discounts on things that people would only buy once in a while. It was on milk, it was on bread, it was on eggs, it was on things that they really used. Now, that doesn't mean that we will do that forever, but we could not have afforded to put £90 million into lowering prices and then also maintain what we had. Now, so that's the 2% that people would have gotten back on their cards. The +2 that they would have given to their communities, as Debbie said, we held, because that's something that's so important to us, and we guaranteed that within our financials. So I'm looking at our head of technology here. I don't know if we can offer the option or not, but when we asked our members, they said lower prices now. And in a cost of living crisis, we thought, how do we do that? This is the best way to do it. But thank you for making the suggestion. We'll certainly, take it away and talk about it. But it's good to hear that feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We will take that away and have a look at it. I think there's another pre-submitted question or one online. Russ, would you like to ask it?
Yes, thanks. This is actually from Co-op Group colleagues, and it's in relation to Gaza. Given the current Co-op policy of not trading with illegal settlements, is there a plan to take further action given the humanitarian crisis in Gaza?
Thanks, Ross. As we all know, the situation in Gaza is quite frankly, appalling. So thank you for the question, Russ. I think I'm going to ask Moni to give a response, not least because the board spent quite a lot of time yesterday discussing this. Thanks, Moni.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. Just to take it in two parts, both as regards our policy, to reiterate that and what steps we're taking. Our co-op has had a long-standing policy since 2007 that provides that where there is broad international consensus that a designated territory or state is illegal, we will not trade. And in accordance with that policy, we don't trade with the occupied territories in Palestine as they're designated by the UN. So that's very clear. But like everyone, I think the human tragedy in Palestine is one that we would want to see come to an end quickly and with a lasting peace, not least so that humanitarian aid can start to flow into Gaza. And in that context, the actions that we've already been able to take, and it is really difficult to take action, as you all know from the news, it is very difficult to get aid into Gaza, but we've already provided humanitarian aid through our partnership with One Water and Oxfam, and we continue to look at ways in which we can engage with the Disasters Emergency Committee to be able to take additional steps. But what I would like to do, just to reiterate what our chair has said, is that it's a very active issue that is being discussed both at board level and in the senior management and our leadership as to what else we can do to continue to evolve our policy and be engaged in the humanitarian position that is arising before our very eyes. Thank you.
Thanks, Mon. And just to sort of round that off, so we're really looking very closely at how we use our values of cooperation to help live if we can, but equally as important in reconstruction and supporting actual cooperatives in that region because that's basically what we stand for. So it is very live, it is very active. As I say, it's it's an ongoing conversation that we are having certainly over the last couple of weeks and in the coming weeks. So thank you very much for the question from our colleagues. I'm going to move back into the room. There's somebody right at the very back. Thank you for holding up your brochure. One of our colleagues, if you can introduce yourself and ask your question. Thank you. I think people were worried I might not be able to see to the back, but reassured I can see right to the very back. Good morning.
Yeah, thanks. Your eyesight's obviously very good. Hello, Manchester. I'm Ian Hewitt from Nottingham. So I've driven over the Pennines and got on a train and then got on a tram. So I'm pleased to be here. Now, living in Nottingham, you may or may not be aware, but we've been declared bankrupt, or at least the council has. Now, the impact of that is immediate and very stark. So austerity is not going away. In fact, it's coming back in spades. Now, amidst that awful situation, there's a lot of people organising and starting to think about what comes next. And people are talking about cooperatives. So maybe there's an opportunity to start to engage with people that are fighting to keep their communities going and to use that as an opportunity to regenerate cooperative value. And if I can, I'll just give a little plug, because on the 5th to the 7th of July in Nottingham University, we're hosting the Ella Baker School for Organisers. So if you're interested in organising, please register and look online. And there are 2 work streams within that conference on cooperatives. One involves cooperatives in Manchester, and the second one is the one that I'm contributing to, where we're looking at the Preston model, community wealth building, and also looking at redirecting investment from technologies that blow the world up and looking at technologies that might keep the world going as climate breakdown continues. I've been impressed with the meeting today, and I'll be interested in your response whether the group might be able to engage with the cities, and there are going to be a whole lot more that are going bust, according to the lovely government.
Thank you, Ian, for the question. I'm not going to give you an immediate response now. I think that's something we'll take away and have a look at with the team. You know, what can we do to support? And as you rightly say, Nottingham is not the only city, unfortunately, in this country that is in that position. But thank you, Ian. We will take that away and take a look at it. I've got a gentleman in a black T-shirt, I think. Yeah.
Hi, James. I'm a new council member for London. Just a simple question. On my phone, I have at least 30 photos of empty shelves, particularly fresh food. Is there a distribution problem in central London, Croydon, Beckenham, Bromley? And if there isn't, what is going on? Why have I got these pictures? Many of them taken on a Friday afternoon, ready for the weekend, with empty shelves. Do we have a problem with distribution? Can we be honest about that and deal with it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Matt, I think that's one for you, I'm afraid. Can Matt have a mic, please?
I was going to get away with not getting
You can't get away.
Is my mic not working? Is it on? There you go. Good morning. I'm Matt Hood. I'm the Managing Director for the food business. You would expect that question is one that comes up a lot. It is a very prevalent question. And when you are running any fresh food business or any food business, having good prices, good availability, good quality are the benchmark of what makes a good retailer. So it is a really important question. The simple answer is no. There is no distribution problem. There is no distribution problem anywhere in the UK. Our supply chain logistics director is here today. Our availability is the strongest it has been since pre-COVID. So actually the way we measure it, and we measure it in a much more sophisticated way than we ever have done before as well. So in the main, our availability is strong. In the main, our availability is strong across the whole country and across all of our 2,500 stores. And in the main, it is strong on both fresh foods and ambient. That doesn't mean that I can stand here and say that every single one of our shops always has 100% availability. Unfortunately, that just isn't possible. Even if you take at the moment, we know that there are challenges from a produce perspective in particular, produce being one of our most important areas within fresh foods. That is an industry challenge. As much as I hate talking about and blaming the weather, that is one of the reasons why we are challenged a little bit more on produce than we would like to be, but it's one of those that the teams are working through at the moment. So what is probably helpful is if you can find a way of telling me those stores, because then I can have a look at those stores in particular. So we'll find a way of that, because London is critical at this time of the year, especially as the sun comes out, to make sure that fresh foods is in abundance.
Thank you, Matt. And again, you know, as a very, very regular shopper in the co-op, I certainly noticed during the course of the back end of last year how much availability had improved. Actually, I was in exactly the same place as you in the number of stores I go to. You know, availability wasn't always as good as it could have been, but it certainly, from what I've seen, improved enormously. But again, please share your details with Matt, and he'll take a closer look at it. Thank you for your question. I'm going to go online and see, are there any other questions online?
Yeah, you might be standing up again in a second, Matt. It's a question from Bill Watson. At a time when the big four supermarkets are reporting record own brand sales, why is the group stripping out own brand range? The latest example on my shopping list is cat litter. The only one available is the branded Catson at a whopping price of £7.50. The Co-op own brand litter is still available at Nicer and Costcutter, however.
Again, am I working? There I am. Again, a brilliant question. And if I am honest, we went through a period where we probably took a little bit of focus away from own brand at the same time as we were trying to manage everything else that was coming our way, whether it be supply chain issues, whether it be distribution issues, whether it be COVID, whether it be cost of living. I think we sort of took our eye off own brand a little bit. Over the last year, that's fundamentally not been the case. We've put a whole new team in place who are working on product development. We have done some work on range reduction because the number of SKUs, the number of individual products that were in our business was too high. It was too high to efficiently run our organisation. We had a lot of products that actually didn't really sell and were clogging up our depots. So we did a big piece of work to reduce range by over 20%, but that was predominantly in branded areas. There are little bits of own brand that we reduced because customers weren't buying them, and therefore, again, we wanted to try and be as efficient as possible. But in the main, we continue to be aggressively pushing own brand. If you take convenience and you take small stores in totality, nobody else comes close to us in terms of own brand penetration. Over 50% of our sales go through own brand. Over 50% of our sales go through fresh foods. No other small store comes anywhere close to that, and it is one of our key unique points of difference and will continue to be so within all our growth plans.
Thanks, Matt. And I think, you know, from what I remember, Matt, you and your team have committed to launch over 400 new Co-op brand products in 2024, which is significantly more than the 120 that we brought out last year. So there's a massive commitment there to grow our own brand penetration. I'm going to come back in the room. I know there are other hands up. Can we go to this gentleman here in the red, is it? I can't see what colour she has. I've got the lights, yes. Oh, no, sorry, it's behind you. Please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Vivian Woodell, here as a delegate from the Mid-Counties Cooperative and also as an individual. I think, first of all, I want to agree with the last question. I think we've seen problems with own brand in our own society and with the availability of it, and it's good to hear what you've said. But I think if retailers really live through their brand, and if they can't put that in the prominent position on the shelves and make it the front and center of their retail offer, then there's a problem. So I really support that. My question is about your target for profitability. I think we should acknowledge the progress that's been made in bringing the underlying level of profitability up. That is really encouraging. But I'd like to know what you believe in an £11 billion retailer should be the target level for pre-tax profit. Thank you. What would make us sustainable?
Thank you very much for your question. I love it, a finance question, and I know Rachel is very keen to answer it.
Well, not necessarily. So happy to answer it, because I think thank you for recognising we've moved on, but we know we do need to continue to move on to be sustainably profitable so that we can pay it forward into co-op for the future. Because even though we're a co-op and we don't have shareholders and we don't have the same level of extraction model, it is important that we're economically viable. And we've made huge inroads, really strengthening the balance sheet. Where we're really focused now is also moving our earnings on. Because things like underlying operating profit, it was why I was trying to try and explain the different types of profitability. Because fundamentally, we need our underlying operating profit to be at least 100 million, but probably, to be honest, on the way to 200, and I'd be incredibly happy if it was on the way to 300, because it then gives us really good coverage of the kind of the lease costs, the interest costs, the tax costs that we know we need to do further down the P&L, but also it brings more choices back to us. So I think what's really interesting here is that interaction and choice together about the choices we make as a cooperative and where we make our investments. And the more we can move that underlying economic value up, and it's a real win-win around the membership wheel that Kenyatta was talking to, the more we can collectively take choices. So fundamentally, I think we're at backstop level of earnings now, but I'm confident with my colleagues across the co-op and all our support, we know we need to and can move that on further. So we haven't got a fixed target like you would with a FTSE listed business where you go out and do an earnings guidance, but we know we need to move it up from underlying operating profit around the 100 million mark, up for me, at least 100 million, and it gets us really safe, really secure, but really starts to help us have more bandwidth to take choices together, if that helps explain.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. I think it's really important. We are owned by our members, by all of you, and there are lots of things that you would like us to do, but if we don't make any money, we can't do those things. So yeah, it's a really important part of the conversation that the board and the operating board are having about what choices do we make. I'm going to go back online just to keep it fair. So
Thanks, Debbie. This is from John Diane. Has there been any movement in having the ability to use one card in all co-op societies?
I think this has to be a question for Shireen, actually. I know he's passionate about it.
The fact is some of the societies do take other societies' cards, so there has been some movement there. One thing that I have loved over my 2 years in this job has been to work more closely with the other societies. And, the CEOs, the people working within them are genuine friends and supporters. And, we talk and work together on a lot of things. One of the things we worked on was a test of what it would look like if we all used one card. It was not good. So basically, it took the annoyance that some people had of not being able to use their card in other stores, and it made it visible to every member in that you had to list out all the cooperatives, how many points, which ones you didn't have any on, and it became a little messy. The reason for that is because as we've all grown up individually, we have different systems in the background that calculate all of these numbers. And unless you integrate all of the systems, which we've also looked at, which is incredibly expensive and probably not the best value for our members, unless you integrate those systems, it's very, very difficult to integrate the card and the app. But it was one of the first things we did when I came into this role. We tested it fast, and it's not something that we can do at the moment. So I'm sorry, that was a dream shattered for me, but at least we tried it to see if it would work.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. Thank you, Shireen, for the answer. So I think we've probably got the chance to take one or two more questions in the room. There's a gentleman there with his hand. Paula, near you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name's Ron Taylor. I'm Stockport born and bred. And I'd like my question actually to Stockport. You're probably aware that there's a £1 billion resurgence of Stockport Town Centre, including a transport hub. But also, there's like a lot of investment in residential homes now in the centre of Stockport, but no store in the centre of Stockport. All right, we can go up to the college, or we could go to Edgeley. I myself live in Reddish, and about a year after I moved in, that's when the store, the Co-op store, disappeared near me, and several others disappeared near me. So it's all about Stockport resurgence. Now, is there a chance that Stockport is actually going to get a central store at some point in the future, maybe even back in part of the old cooperative building, where you could put a red plaque on the wall to say how important the co-op was to Stockport in the past? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. I'm just going to sort of come clean and say, and I'm Stockport born and bred, so great to meet you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to ask Shireen to...
I can't answer your question right now, but I can tell you that Matt's here. He runs our food business. And Heather's somewhere over. I don't know where I saw Heather, but she's our head of property. So the two people who can look into that and make a decision can either answer it now. I was going to let you off the hook. I was going to say, come back.
I thought you were passing it my way. And Heather's, I just checked whether she was there, and she sneaked away. So that's why. The only reason I stand up is because, look, I can't answer the Stockport question in particular, but what I did want to say is that the amount of work that we've done on our property portfolio and our store numbers between the property team, between the food team, over the last year has been incredible. All the bits that we talked about from a financial perspective has finally got us to a place where we can start acquiring again, where we can start relocating again, where we can start putting new stores down. And a lot of you will have seen the last couple of years where we've talked about disposals. And the amount of people who've sat in the audience and stood up and said, why are you disposing of this store? Why are you disposing of this store? The two things that have fundamentally changed is between the property team, between my operations team, what we now do is give every single shop the opportunity to succeed. We do everything we physically can to try and keep every co-op in every community open. That's one part of it. The other part is this piece around us getting back out there. Part of our property team is now very much back out there looking for sites, looking for how we find other brilliant co-op stores. Now, I can't commit that one of those will be in Stockport, but hopefully it will.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you for the question. And just to sort of reinforce what Matt said, I actually had the pleasure on Monday afternoon of spending time with the cross-functional team who look at property disposals and acquisitions, and they put their absolute heart and soul into working out what is the right answer for the community. So I know that's something that Shireen has introduced over the last 18 months, and trust me, we are back out there now looking for properties, which of course have got to be economic and viable for the community. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. It is 11:40, and I've been told I must keep to time. Those of you who are not able to ask your question, please do send them to the AGM team by the end of today, and we will get a response out there for you. For those online, if you leave your email contact in the chat, we'll respond to you directly, or indeed you can also email the AGM team at the email address which is posted, and we will give you a written answer. So the email is on the slide, agm@coop.co.uk. We will get back to you. So thank you all for your participation. It's really important that we hear from you, and we're going to have another chance, hopefully in about 20 minutes, once we've got through the motions. We have 13 motions on the agenda today. Most of them are our standard motions, and we have 3 excellent motions from our council. The democratic part of being the co-op is one of the things I absolutely love about the co-op, and so we really like you to participate in the voting and then indeed in crafting motions if you can in future years. So it's really important that we hear from you on important issues for our co-op. They are proposals from our board, from our National Members Council, and from you, our member owners. And so with your steer, we know that we're taking care of what you care about and that we can better understand what matters most to you. In response to your feedback and the success of the joining events that we had in 23, we'll be having 2 more online joining events this year, which anybody is able to participate in. I really encourage you to do that. They are designed to give you, our member owners, the opportunity to hear from council members on what they propose for 2024 and also talk to co-op experts on ways we could bring them to life if approved. Again, in last year, these events were attended by over 200 members, and again, it also helped those people who attended understand how what they do and their votes shape the important issues at the co-op. So the motions, some of which cover quite complex issues, were expertly presented at these meetings, and we're really pleased to see strong and healthy debate among active members, board, council and co-op leaders on the Joining Live event. So again, I encourage you, if you get the opportunity, please do join in with Joining Live as we go through this year. So let's move to voting. Once again, we are using electronic handheld devices. These have been given to eligible members, voting representatives and corporate representatives only. Can I just check that everybody who is eligible to vote has a voting device? Yep, perfect. If you do think you haven't got one, then please grab one of the blue T-shirted members who are here to help. So before we get into the motions, I think it's always great to check the technology. You know, I mean, how many times did the technology not work? So we are going to do a bit of a test on the technology just to make sure our technology is in place. So we're going to ask a test question as a warm-up. And the question is, are you planning on coming to see any acts here at Co-op Live? The button number 1 is yes or for. The button number 2 is against or no, and the button number 3 is withheld, no idea, or I'm not prepared to say. So if you do press the wrong button initially or change your mind, you can choose an alternative answer before the vote is closed. And after I ask each motion, I'm going to leave about 5 seconds for everybody to use the terminal. So if you want to cancel your vote, press the C button and then re-vote. So if you can all have a go at using your handhelds and vote 1, 2 or 3, and we can just check that the technology is working and all joined up. I'm going to count 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we should see the result on the screen if it is all working correctly. We might need a few seconds. There we go. Fantastic. Great. So it's great to see 75% of you are going to get into this venue again. That's great. So the technology is working. We can now actually move on formally to the formal part of the business. We're going to do each motion in turn, and after each we will declare the result. As I already said, it may take a few seconds for that to happen. And just to reassure everybody, we will be undertaking a full analysis with our scrutineers who are here with us today after the meeting before we issue the exact number of votes cast. The number of votes cast will be shown on our website after the meeting. We have appointed independent scrutineers, Civica, who will scrutinise the results of the vote, and as I've already said, they are here with us today. All the votes from members who have already voted online, by post or via the app, will be added to the votes cast in the meeting today, and then the result will be announced. As you know, all motions are on a poll vote and need a simple majority to be passed. So, motion number 1, to receive the annual report and accounts for the period ended 6th of January 2024. Please vote now. So voting is now closed on this motion, and the results will be shown on the screen behind me. Fantastic. I can confirm that the motion has been passed. Moving on to motion number 2, to approve the Directors' Remuneration Report for the period ended 6th of January 2024. Please vote now. Vote now. Voting is now closed on this motion, and the results will be shown on the screen. Thank you. The motion has passed. Motion number 3, Sustainability Report, to receive the Sustainability Report for the period ended 6th of January 2024. Please vote now. Voting is now closed on this motion, and the results will be shown on the screen. The motion has passed. We're now moving into the election of directors. Motion number 4, to elect Rachel Izzard as an executive director. Please vote now. Voting is now closed on this motion, and the results will be shown on the screen. The motion has passed. The next motion, motion number 5, is actually to elect myself, and it would not be good governance for me to propose myself, so I'm going to ask Shireen to put this motion to the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Could I please ask members to vote on motion 5 to elect Debbie White as an independent, non-executive director? Okay. Voting's now closed on this motion, and the results will be shown on the screen.
Thank you, members. Motion number 6, to elect Adrian Marsh as the non-executive director. If you can, please vote now. Voting's closed on the motion, and we'll see the results shortly. The motion has passed. Motion number 7, to elect Moni Mannings as a non-executive director. Please vote now. Voting is now closed on the motion, and we will see the results. The motion has passed. Motion number 8, to elect Luke Jensen as a non-executive director. Please vote now. Voting is closed, and we will see the results shortly. The motion has passed. Thank you. Motion number 9, we are asking our shareholders to approve the reappointment of our auditors, Ernst & Young. Please vote now. Voting is closed. I can confirm that the motion has passed. Motion number 10, political donations. This is a joint motion from the Board and Council on political donations. Please vote now. Voting is closed. The motion has passed. Motion number 11 is from our council, and there is a detailed script on this in your material, and this motion is on member prices for healthy products. Please vote now. Voting has closed. The motion has passed. Motion number 12, again a motion from our council, and this is on retail crime and reoffending, and again you have seen the details in the material. Please vote now. Voting has closed. The motion has passed. Motion number 13, again it's from our council and it's around the DNA of our co-op. Again the details have been made available to you. Please vote now. Voting has closed. The motion has passed. Thank you all for participating in this, a really important democratic process for our co-op. Now we are going to spend the next hour discussing with you what matters most to you, our members. It will be interactive. As I've said earlier, over 12,000 members have already completed the survey to let us know what matters most to them. And the survey, as I've said, is open until the 24th of May. So if you haven't already completed it, please do go online and do so. You'll hopefully have had some time to give us your thoughts on the interactive boards outside before we started. And you can also let us know your thoughts as you exit the arena later this afternoon. And so now in the member discussion, we want to understand in more detail what our member owners had in mind when they filled out this survey. The discussion at the meeting, together with the survey and the wide range of insight we've already got and we've collected through many of the activities so far, will feed into and will shape the action we take to create social value for our member owners and their communities. And I'm really delighted that Paul Gerard, who is our Director of Campaigns, Public Affairs and Board Secretariat, is going to lead this conversation. For those members who are watching online, I'm going to hand you over to Mark Robertson-Field and Terry McLeod. We will bring all of the material back into the session before the close and before we wrap up today. So as we do this, the board are actually going to come and sit down in the audience because that's actually where they want to be to participate. And I'm going to ask Paul to come up and lead our discussion. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Debbie, and it is now still good morning, fellow corporators. I hope you're enjoying the AGM to date. As Debbie said, my name is Paul Jarrod. I'm Campaigns, Public Affairs and Board Secretariat Director at your co-op. And what we want to do now is really what Shireen and Debbie and Kenyatta have talked about, and that's putting our member owners at the very heart of what we do, what we plan to do and what we execute. So what we're going to do in the next 40 minutes or so is get to understand what you care about. We want to understand what you want us to take action on and what you think our co-op should use its assets to drive change. All the work that we've done so far, the survey, the other insight we've got, this conversation, will all go into develop that social value strategy about returning social value to members and their communities. We've had, as Debbie said, 12,000 member owners have completed that survey. And what we're going to do today is look at the three big themes that came out of that survey and get your views. Why do you think people answer like that? What do you care about in that theme? What would you like the co-op to do? How would you like the co-op to act? As Debbie said, this is an interactive session. If you don't engage in it, it's just me. And honestly, I'll get bored of myself pretty damn quickly. So please, help me out on a Saturday morning and engage. So 3 themes came out of that member survey, 3 themes. The first one was the environment. Within this theme, members told us that food waste, food packaging, recycling is important, as was opportunities to tackle climate change in communities both in the UK and across the globe. And of course, our fair trade relationships go back decades in the very regions of the world that were most affected most quickly by climate change. So the first one, the environment. Second was sourcing. Members have told us that what's important to them is how we source things, how we support British producers, local producers, fair trade, human rights. This co-op campaigned on slavery for a number of years. How we source things is important, and you've told us it's important. So again, let's try and explore why people think that, what you think the co-op can do, and how you think we can take action. And then the third theme, environment, sourcing, the third theme was fair opportunities for all. Within this, we think about fair access to food, think about mental well-being, think about diversity and inclusion, think about how opportunities for young people, think about opportunities to connect older people into the communities. So those are the three themes. And what we'll do is we'll spend over the next 45 minutes, about 15 minutes on each theme, trying to understand what you think. The numbers are the numbers, great. Let's put some nuance, some colour, some flavour, some insight into what that means. So there's three simple questions for each topic that we'll spend 15 minutes on. What comes to mind when you think about that theme? So for the environment, what do you think about? For sourcing, what do you think about? For fair opportunities for all, what do you think about? What change would you like to see? And how would you like to see the co-op tackle that theme as a co-op with its member owners and with other cooperative societies across the UK and indeed across the globe? Before we start, I just want to say one thing which is really important. This isn't a question and answer session. This isn't asking us questions, why don't we do X, why don't we do? I want to know what you think. I want to hear statements. I want to hear what your passions are, what your desires are, where you think our co-op can make a difference. So tell us, because we need to know. Because as Debbie said at the start, all this, together with what we get online, together with the interactive boards, there's member events coming up after this AGM. All that information allows us to build a social value strategy to commit to delivering for member owners and the communities built on what you want and what your insight is. Okay? Everyone with me? Really? Thank you. I just want to check. Right. Let's kick off with that first theme. First theme was the environment. Okay? So again, think about three questions. What comes to mind? What change would you like to see? What do you think our co-op can do about that? It's literally hands raised. I'm going to come to people. I'm going to start, lady there. Can we have someone at the back ready as well? So lady there in the striped dress. Striped dress. Thank you.
Hi, is that on?
I can hear you.
Thank you. Rebecca Slater, National Members Council for the South West. I really think we need to be helping member owners to make better choices, choices that are more ethical, more sustainable. We've got the future of our membership reward is really intuitive, so we could tap into that. Look to reward members for better choices, unpackaged goods, maybe returning their packaging to store. Really simple things that they could then get rewarded for doing, easy. Also, point of sale, we could be giving tips for our member owners. We could give advice, and actually we need to educate them. Why are they doing these things? Teach them about climate change, just little snippets of information each time they're in our stores.
Thank you, and thank you for kicking us off as well. I appreciate that. I certainly think there's a really important point about, ultimately, this will be individuals making choices, and we have to help people make as informed the choices they want to make. So thank you very much. Gentleman at the back, Ian, I think. God, my eyesight's getting quite good. Ian?
Right, thank you, Paul. What comes to mind is the General Secretary of the United Nations in his statement in September of last year that climate breakdown has begun. Now that's a little bit scary, and it means that nobody knows what comes next. What I think we should do is partner up with the Climate Justice Coalition, which is a coalition of all the active groups, trade unions and whoever else, and to work with War on Want, who are coordinating the Climate Justice Coalition. So side with the people who are on the wrong end of climate change and restore co-op value.
Thank you, Ian. And I think it's a great shout. Thank you. And that point about partnerships, this is one of those things where if we want to make a difference, it will be through partnership. And the kind of organisations you outlined absolutely are the ones that can help to do that. Thank you. I'm going to come to the lady here. Can we get a mic there?
Thank you. Cindy Kelly, Member Pioneer Coordinator with the Co-op. One of my areas is Wigan, and every year Wigan hold a Youth Climate Summit, bringing schools from all across the borough to talk about the environment and what individually they can do. So I'd love to see this rolled out across more boroughs and everywhere in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. And sorry, just keep the microphone for a second. And where does the Co-op play in that? What do you think the Co-op can do to support that?
As at the moment, so it's run by the Youth Council and the Wigan Council. And for Co-op, we go along and have a stall, and we talk about soft plastic recycling, and we talk about our climate plan. So it's a way of engaging the children at a really young age. So it's primary right through to secondary.
Brilliant. Thank you. Oh, I'm got lots of hands. I'm going to go to the lady in the middle with the dark hair. And then can I have a mic for the gentleman at the back with his hand up? Sorry, thank you.
Hi, thanks. I'm Laura Manston from the Members' Council for the South East, and I'd like to see us using our buildings more with regards to maybe having carbon neutral buildings in the first place, and then maybe going further so that our buildings can support the community by having solar panels on all our buildings and living walls on our buildings, and yeah, really supporting the whole community to go carbon neutral.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a really good shout. And certainly Angel Square as our sports centre is one of the most environmentally friendly buildings in the world. And I know that Central England are exploring putting solar panels on the roof. Thank you very much. Gentleman at the back. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bob Bolton, currently Non-Executive Director of Central, formerly Chief Executive of Mid-Counties and Group Chair. The two things that I would like to see the group turn the dial up on in relation to climate change is, first of all, to positively communicate, inform, educate and motivate our members to do more in relation to climate change and to encourage them to be true ambassadors on this topic. I really believe, and have done for quite some time, that our economic structure really puts us in the position to do something on climate change that our profit-orientated PLC competitors can't. And the second thing where I think the group could and should turn the dial up on is participation in the international cooperative movement to encourage the co-op globally to do far more than it is currently across the globe in relation to this crucial topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think that mention of international co-ops is really important. A, because climate change in particular will only be solved at a global level. And B, of course, it is a uniqueness of our co-op and all co-ops that we are part of a global movement of 3 million cooperative enterprises. So it gives us a real opportunity. Thank you very much. I've got a gentleman here and a gentleman there. We'll come here first. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Paul Robinson. I'm at the end of this meeting, I'll be a part of the member council representing the East of England. When I think about the environment, and one of the ways that each one of us can most positively impact the environment. I think about how each one of our pensions gets invested and how that money gets invested in companies that hopefully have a positive impact, and making sure that we divest in those companies that are holding us back from solving the climate crisis. And I would love to see the Co-op Group offer a pension product to consumers that aligns to our values and principles and offers people the chance to invest in a private pension that does go towards solving the the climate crisis.
And I guess that's a really good point. And of course, that, you know, one of the assets we have is A, around your business, and B, a pension fund ourselves. And I think that's an opportunity to use that asset. Thank you very much, contribution. I think it's Mr. Woodell there, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Thank you. Vivian Woodell from the Mid-Counties Cooperative, and also here as an individual member. And building, actually, I think that's an excellent last contribution. You said that it's about individual choices, but it is about that, but it's also about doing things together and cooperating. And around the country, there are over 400 community-owned cooperative energy generators, renewable generators. You know, I'm on the board of the Westmill Wind Farm Co-op. We have a small wind farm that powers 3,000 homes. It also has about 3,000 members, and those members invested the money that enabled us to build that wind farm. That is that's the kind of thing, the kind of energy that got the co-op movement started 180 years ago on the ground now. I'd like to see the cooperative group partnering with those organisations and providing resources to facilitate the development of more of them, especially with the Labour Party saying they'll commit really significant amounts of money to community energy in the future. We need to be part of that project, and I think we could really be very visible and upfront as partners in doing that.
Thank you, Vivian. And obviously, Vivian, board member at Mid-Counties, who have done some remarkable things on community energy as well. I'm going to go to the gentleman, I think he's in a red shirt or a red T-shirt. Can I go there, and then the gentleman beside them? We'll go there, and then we'll come back forwards. Yep.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Tom Lang, Policy Officer at Cooperatives UK, and also on the Co-op Young Members Group. One of the things that's obviously come out from conversations with many of the smaller co-ops, sometimes community-owned halls and stores, is a challenge in the energy costs that we're currently facing still on the back of high inflation rates. So really, what can Co-op Group do, along with some of the other large independent retail societies, to create joint buying power to support stores in retrofitting them? There are lots of co-op, often these community-run halls, that need the ability to retrofit in order to bring down their costs, and that has benefits to the environment as well as keeping lots of co-ops in business and thriving in communities up and down the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. And I'll forgive you for asking a question because I'm a board member at Co-ops UK, so I'll forgive you for that. I'd like to go to the points well made. Gentleman at the back, it's an orange T-shirt. Apologies, sir. I'm sure it's a very fetching orange T-shirt.
Cheers. Thanks, Paul. Ellis, colleague, member, owner. I think one of the things, the first I thought about around this is around our e-commerce business, the growth we've seen recently and the kind of expected growth we want to see. In kind of our online direct shop, but also working with the likes of Just Eat and Deliveroo, obviously it means a lot more kind of cars, making short journeys, what we can do to either encourage more electric vehicles in that space, both financially for our own online business, to make those short journeys and to encourage the electrification of vehicles on the road that are working for Co-op. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a really good shout. And the growth of our quick commerce business has been a real triumph for us over the last year or so, and making sure that it is proof for the environment is a really good shout. The gentleman just beside, yes, sir, you've just put your hand up there.
My name's Michael Marks. I used to be on council many years ago.
I remember you.
It's about housing. When you talk about our members, there's two, and society in general, there's the cost of living, and housing is the biggest issue for many people, particularly young people, and I do believe as an organisation that we should be trying to promote the concept of cooperative housing and social housing. The whole thing's gone off the agenda. It needs to be back on the agenda, otherwise people will be living at home until they're 80.
Thank you. As the father of a 21-year-old, I do hope you aren't right. And thank you for the point, and it's a well-made point as well, and certainly cooperative housing, I know a number of co-ops, indeed Vivian's involved in them, that do just that. Thank you. Gentleman beside, I think, oh, sorry, I can't actually see if it's a gentleman or lady, I can just see a hand, so that hand.
Thanks, Paul. Danny Douglas, I'm an individual member from Norwich. So following on from the question about Stockport earlier on, we're seeing in the movement stores exiting from city centres and town centres. And it's a real concern because they're the places where people without cars, which is 24% of the population, can access stores and our cooperative goods. Have we got the right business model for all our communities? And have we got the right business model to make sure we're inclusive for town centres, for urban areas, and I think we've got a problem here that we need to look at in a different kind of way than what we're doing at the moment.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you very, very much. There's a lady here with a white top on. Thank you. There's about a minute and a half left, so get your hands up if you want to make a contribution.
Hi, Lindsay. I work for the co-op with the communities and member pioneers. Just following on from what the last gentleman said, I have seen and witnessed the closure of quite a few stores around this city centre, the circle around the city centre where the most need is, where all our academies are, which we link with. Really, really thankful that we have amazing partnerships projects, which you've touched on, Nature Neighbourhoods and Bernardo's, and we're lucky that we have some face-to-face work going on in Rochdale for that, and only 5 minutes from here in Newton Heath. But I really noticed, especially just after COVID, there was a lot of support given to the academies where young people got a free gift card to use in store to spend in the school holidays when they don't have enough access to food. This is high on our agenda. Access to food is massive in this area and across loads of deprived areas. But we don't have that connection to a store because recently they've obviously not been profitable in the correct way. But if we could reinstate those stores so that we have that connection, not just for the support we can give through academies, but also the support through the waste food scheme, which I think is not quite connected up properly. Where there is most waste, there is too much distance between the communities that need it and no transport or way of getting that to, say, for example, the community fridges that are in the academies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, a good bit of that might be in that third bucket of opportunities for all, but I think the point about waste and making sure that food is produced is used and not put to waste. Thank you very much. That 15 minutes flew, and I'm really grateful for people really contributing. I'm going to move on to the next theme. All that information has been captured. Mark is online doing the same thing. If you had a contribution on the environment, you didn't feel comfortable putting your hand up, or you just didn't get a time, please stick it on a post-it note, stick it on the interactive board. All the information is going to be really valuable as we develop that strategy. So, if we come on to sourcing as our second point, and again, it's the same questions. What comes to your mind? And why do you think members have said it's important? What change would you like to see? And what role does the co-op play in sourcing? So that could be British, local, fair trade, things that respect human rights, etc. So let's have a look who's got a question. I'll go to the gentleman in the lovely blue shirt there, sir.
Hi, Paul. Hi, everybody that's here today. My name's Lee, store manager and council member. Market-leading work's been done by the business over recent years, such as modern slavery, working support for fertility treatment, and people who care. And research shows that our members member owners are not fully aware of what we do for our communities. So at this point, I would have said, can we do things differently in the future to help communicate, one, what we do for our communities, what we've succeeded in, and celebrate what we've done with our members. But having watched that video around reintroducing Co-op to the UK video, really giving me confidence that I think we'll land this in such a different way in this next coming year. So thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you. And I guess the point about the connection to sourcing there is it can be that local. And as a business, one of our biggest assets is the supply base we have and the choices that we make. And as you will all know, all our protein is British. We're a huge supporter of British farming as well as fair trade globally. Thank you. Looking for other hands to make a contribution. Gentleman in the beige shirt there. Other hands, please. Put you up so I can see them.
Thank you. Yeah, Matthew Melson, a member from Reading, also passionate animal welfare campaigner. So when it comes to supply chain, and we've been talking about it a lot, these AGM and the previous AGMs, around the chicken welfare and chicken sourcing. What I would really like to see Co-op do is actually really live those values as an ethical retailer. And I'll be very frank, I feel like the position at the moment, we're talking about being at the forefront, I think is misleading because I really don't think the Co-op is at the forefront at the moment. And to be at the forefront, I think we should be, I mean, we've seen these people here today very engaged, very passionate about this issue. These are members. I think that's being ignored. I really think it's being ignored. And I think there's an element of naivety, an element of arrogance as well with some within the Co-op to actually address this issue. So when it comes to supply, it's actually really taking hold of it and being pioneers and saying, okay, we'll work with you on a solution. Because you're saying it's not going to work, it's not going to work, we've looked around here, we've done this, it's not working. But what you're not doing is coming up with a solution. So that's what I really want the Co-op and our Co-op to do. And big up to my local Co-op store, which is fantastic, Co-op in Tyler's. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Point really passionately made that animal welfare, particularly around chickens, is important, and you want the Co-op to lead on that and to lean in and to work with people. Thank you very much. A really well-made point. Looking for other hands in the room. Young gentleman here and then a gentleman there. So we come here first, then we go to the gentleman beside Mr. Matthews.
We've talked a lot today about informing choices, and I think part of that is about giving the right information for someone to make an informed choice. What I'd really like to see Co-op do with sourcing, with fair trade products, is promote that in our stores. I think a product that comes to mind is Tony's Chocolate. Great chocolate, by the way. That's also fair trade. But I never knew about its mission of trying to end slavery within modern farming. So my ask to Co-op is to promote more fair trade products in our stores in easy media format.
Thank you. It's a really good point. And I think what came out really strongly in the survey so far has been fair trade as being a really important part of how we want to source. And I think we are the leading business on fair trade in the country. And I think your point is, sort of speaks to the last council motion around DNA, really talking to that and being proud of that and using that as a competitive advantage. Thank you very much. Gentleman beside Nick.
Good day, fellow cooperators. Scott Montgomery, Co-op colleague and cooperator from Coventry.
Welcome.
My point is just to follow on in relation to fair trade. I feel that our society and our movement have been pioneers in championing fair trade and supporting producers and growers across the world. I think whilst we're celebrating 30 years of fair trade this year, our ranges have become a little bit more limited. It's great that we're still producing fair trade chocolates, coffee, even flowers, wine. You know, I think the range could be a little bit broader, but also within the existing ranges, I've noticed in several Co-op stores I've been into across multiple societies that the existing ranges appear to be shrinking. Is there something that could be done to really safeguard our support for fair trade and also to really promote it in this a crucial year?
Thank you. It's a really well-made point. The 30th anniversary of fair trade, I think, is a really well-made point. I know Paul may be leaving the board, but Paul will continue to be a huge advocate for fair trade. And I always remember, and I've been in the co-op for almost 9 years now, that one of the things that people had an automatic recall in relation to the co-op was fair trade. It automatically came to people's mind. I think it's a real power for us. I'm looking around the room, in the middle there, and there's a hand at the back, please.
Evelyn Godfrey, I'm an individual member and also director of the Mid-Counties Co-op.
Welcome.
Time and again, our members at Mid-Counties raise issues relating to the range in our shop and what we're selling and the pricing and so on and so on and so on. And time and again, the answer comes back that this is out of our control. It's Co-op Group, it's FRTS that sets all these things and makes these decisions. Will the Co-op Group consider making this FRTS arrangement more representative and opening up to more feedback from the independent co-op societies who are part of the system, because we have a great deal to say, our members have a great deal to say about what's being sold in our shops. Thanks.
Thank you. I think, so there's a point about FRTS and how it works, and we can take that offline. I'm not going to answer that. I think there's a point there about the way in which we act as a movement, and that as a movement, what do we want to source in the products that we want to take. But I won't take the FRTS question. As I said, this isn't a Q&A as such, but I've heard you, and I'm sure we'll get back to you. Thank you. Other questions? Gentlemen there, thank you. Other hands, put them up so I can see them and get a mic to you.
Hi, I'm Ian. I'm known as various other things. I just think that the Co-op Fairtrade Malbecs come in for a lot of praise today, rightly so. The reason why it's so good is it's from a cooperative, and the guys at that co-op really, really, really understand cooperative principles. It's an absolute joy to work with them, or it, in my case, was an absolute joy to work with them. And we could so much more about learning how to be better by working with more co-ops that we can help support, they can help support us, that can grow the sustainability message everywhere.
Thank you. And just keep the microphone for a second. So in sourcing terms, Principle 6, I'm looking to grow that cooperative ecosystem by trading with other co-ops as suppliers to the co-op group. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Really helpful.
A much better put than I could have done it.
I'm not sure about that, but I'll take the credit. My boss is in the front row, so he can take that for feedback. Is there other hands, please? Yes, sir, Ian? Yep.
Got the mic again. Sorry.
It's all right, Ian.
It's that bloke from Nottingham. Local sourcing. I know some of the other societies are pretty good at this, and maybe the group should re-engage with that agenda, because it's not just that it's local. You can actually start to build relationships. So the local health service, we managed to get healthy food into hospitals, which was revolutionary. And what happened was that we built a network of local farmers, and they all started talking to each other, and they became more visible. And it was a win-win. The food was actually cheaper, it was more nutritious, but of course, this government kind of put this spanner in the works. But that's the NHS. But maybe there's an opportunity for the group to re-engage with local sourcing.
And Ian, just keep the microphone for a second. I bet you didn't think I'd say that, but I am. And what do you think that looks like, Ian? In our stores, if we engage more with local producers, what do you think it looks like?
I think it looks like a display saying local with images of local farms and a bit of a map, and this stuff's good for you, and this is cooperation in action.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ian. And of course, if it's local, it's got a very small carbon footprint as well, of course. Okay, there's a couple of minutes left. I'm looking for a couple more hands, please. Gentleman in the middle, and then lady at the back, I think. So we'll come here first, and then we'll go there. Thank you.
Hi, John Steele from Cafe Direct, and here as an individual as well. Just listening to the conversation, I feel Co-op's really well positioned to perhaps bring together local and also fair trade, so which tends to be more international, and try and bring together those communities to get some of the lessons that are learnt from far-flung places, but also in the UK, and try to get some power from that. So that was my point, really.
And do you think, from your Cafe Direct experience, combining that international fair trade element as a sourcing into local communities, that would help us as a cooperative business, a successful cooperative business? Do you think it's got a competitive edge, and you'll know that from
Yeah, no, I think so. I think the Co-op is uniquely positioned because of the values that we have, and whenever I've talked to UK farmers, they feel they're missing out on something that's driven by the fair trade movement internationally, and I think vice versa. So I think there could be some real strength in bringing those communities together. So yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
In the middle at the back, or not at the back, in the middle, I guess. Thank you.
Hi, Della MacDonald. I'm on National Members Council for West Yorkshire and Humber, as well as a colleague for over 10 years. Just building on Ian's point that he mentioned around local sourcing. So I'm an operations manager. I've got 23 shops across around 4 different counties. And in the 10 years of working for Co-op, I've seen local suppliers significantly reduce in our food stores to the point where the only thing that's really local is a local ale stand or some tea cakes. And even that's not in every shop in the local vicinity. You mentioned, Paul, around the carbon footprint, but typically these lines are also removed because of poor availability, because the local supplier is sending it to our national distribution to then be redistributed to the shops that are actually really close to suppliers. I'd like us to see more local food supply range in our fresh space. Local ales typically doesn't sell. I can go into my stores in the Peak District and fresh range, fresh local cakes flies out. The ales are gathering dust. So I'd like us to do more on local suppliers on fresh range that will sell, but equally the carbon footprint point you raise, how can we support local suppliers to better distribute to us and avoid the availability issues to get these lines removed in the future?
Thank you, that's a really good point. And just sorry, you just get the microphone back to Katie, sorry. That point about there's a demand there, you're saying that for certain products, not all, but for certain products like local cakes in the Peak District, there's a demand there. It's understanding that demand to be able to get real connection between local sourcing and our shops.
Yeah, there's definitely demand. Equally, I've got in my West Yorkshire stores, there's probably more local suppliers. I go to Lancashire, there's nothing in those shops that's locally sourced. So I think every store should look to have at least something that's locally sourced as part of our cooperation. I mean, I've got stores in Oldham that are really close to where our co-op was first started and have nothing locally sourced. And how does that stand from a community point of view when we're looking at cooperating with communities?
Thank you. Really helpful. Thank you. Got time for one more hand, if I can. Gentleman here. Thank you. And then we'll move on to the last topic.
Hello, it's Ryan Day from Cleethorpes. Coming to your colleague there, I had an opportunity about 2 years ago to visit a local smoking house factory, which Grimsby is notorious for its fish production, and I'm pleased to say that the co-op do source products from Grimsby. The fish fingers are frozen and packaged and then sent to the co-op stores for GG. The independent factory I visited, Alfred Enwelby is called, and the owner is called Patrick Salmon. It was fish. I know, and it is a legit story. He supplies Co-op Lincolnshire, which have a greater image in our area than the Co-op we're at now. Is it possible you could look at people in the areas to say, you've got local knowledge like myself on the fish industry, what would you put in the stores, and let's give it a go that way? Because no doubt people in Yorkshire, Nottinghamshire, they'll have local knowledge of what would work, what their suppliers is. We have crisps in the Lincolnshire area, we have the fish in the Lincolnshire area. Can we look at putting somebody on the ground to gather feedback?
Brilliant, thank you very much. And of course we've got 40,000 colleagues right across the country in all those areas that can provide that feedback. Thank you again, really grateful for that, for the energy in the conversation. We'll move on to the final theme, Fair opportunities for all was how we grouped this. So it could include diversity inclusion, it could include fair access to food, that's already been mentioned, it could include mental well-being, opportunities for young people, connecting old people. There's a range of things in there. Again, the same 3 questions. What comes to your mind? What do you think we can do? And what do you think the co-op should do? So can I have, there's lots of answers here. So I'll start with the lady with the orange top. Okay, I won't mention the orange shirt, orange top.
Thank you, Paul. Hi, my name is Juliet Mulholland. I'm on the National Members Council from representing East of England, also a colleague for several years. So we've heard a lot today, the words young people, with regard to obviously increasing our young members, supporting young people's well-being with regard to through the academies, partnering with Bernardo's as a charity, the things that were said about Co-op Live and feeding into the Co-op Foundation, which is all great and essential, I think, for being able to sustain ourselves with a next generation of cooperators. However, I am mindful that we haven't really heard a lot around how we're supporting our older customers and members and connecting them to the community and their needs. So I'm thinking, especially as they become sort of more isolated through kind of the digital world, the increasingly digital world that we're living in and we're moving through. So I wonder if we could utilise our member pioneers perhaps, or use the Join In Live events in person to maybe support with some of them potential tech fears or anything else that we can do to support our older members as well as the younger ones. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a really powerful point. Thank you, Jules. I really appreciate it. It's a really good point. Thank you. Right, I'm going to go out. So I'll come here first, and then I'll go to the gentleman there. So I want one here and one there, if I can. One here. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name's David Hallam. I'm a member of the National Members Council for the West Midlands. And I'm interested when we're talking about sustainability and when we're talking about stores. And I'd like to pick up the point that Danny made at the back about the city centres and somebody made about Stockport. One of the areas I represent is where I live in Sandwell, which is right in the heart of the Black Country. Nobody has ever heard of it. There's 300, you've heard of it. There's 300,000 of us who live there. We have 2 co-op shops, both of which are from different independent societies. We don't have a co-op group shop. The last one was closed quite recently, so I can't boast that I'm even a co-op customer in terms of food now. Now, what concerns me is that as I look and read the disposals, and when I look at the openings, it seems to me that the co-op is quite interested in going to what you might call the Waitrose territories. And we do have openings in middle-class areas, but we seem to be walking away from our working class, and not just our working class, but our ethnic minority areas. And we often beat ourselves up saying, oh, we've got to have more representatives of ethnic minorities on the National Members Council, and that's absolutely right. But why can't we start putting co-ops into areas where there are ethnic minority people? Because that seems to be what's happening at the moment. We seem to be neglecting those areas and we seem to be moving out of those areas. So what I'd like us to do is to have some sort of mechanism where we actually take seriously the idea that we're in every community. We're not in every community, and we're not often in the most neediest communities. So I think we need to start thinking about our store openings, not just about profitability, not just about trying to get people off of Waitrose, but actually trying to provide a service for people in some of the poorest communities in the country.
Thank you. It's a well-made point. Thank you, David. A very powerful, well-made point. Gentleman here.
Thank you. It's Ron Taylor again, but I did go to Sandwell College, if that counts. Anyway, what I'd like to ask about is we've heard today about how we're planning to grow the number of members, but we haven't heard about what's being done to change the inactive members to active members. Now, the reason I say that is that, you know, we see adverts, for instance, on the telly for the funeral services, for instance. And it's all about trying to get someone to get a plan, but it's not about the members that have got plans that have probably forgot to update them or talk to their family or things like that. And Similarly, I could see this as an advert that could run where someone picks up their co-op card of whatever type and says, oh, when was the last time I used the co-op? What, have I considered looking again at the co-op? And it's things like that that let's think about existing members and about how, or ones that have become inactive, to get them back into activity.
Thank you. It's a really good point. I know it's something that Kenyatta and the team look at really hard about how they retain members, not just, keep losing them. But point well made. Thank you. Gentleman in there, it's Jeevan, I think, in the jacket there. Thank you. Other members, put your hand up for a view.
That's great. Thanks. Jeevan Jones, an individual member from Birmingham. By the way, just a fantastic event, and I've really enjoyed all the comments that I've heard today. I was particularly taken by our friend from Nottingham at the back, who was talking about local councils in crisis and what we can do about it. And he talked about, could there be a cooperative solution to this crisis going on? And the good news is there is one. So in Birmingham, we founded something called the Save Birmingham campaign. There are many partner organisations here in the room, and it's all about cooperative solutions that empower communities to identify community assets they care about and how you can take them on and turn them into co-ops. So that's really the plug. I think a lot of people are plugging things today, so I'm plugging the campaign. But in answer to your question, Paul, what I'm really interested in is how do we take those 5 million members that we've talked about and give them the tools and opportunities and knowledge about what they can do locally to empower themselves and their neighbours and communities to take on those assets. Because it's not about money, actually. In many cases, it isn't really about money. It's about that knowledge, awareness and mobilisation on the ground. We've done it in Birmingham and we've had great success. And I'm really excited and happy to talk to our friend from Nottingham at the back, but also anyone else here today who'd like to replicate a cooperative solution in local government.
And Jeevan, just so I'm clear, what we're talking about there is that empowering communities through cooperation to be able to offer services and opportunities that means that you can go wherever your talent allows. That's the kind of thing you're talking about.
That's right. I think building connections, raising awareness and actually giving people the power and tools to take on community assets in their local area.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Lady here in the middle, and I'm looking at the back, if I can.
Thank you. My name is Rachel. I'm a co-op colleague, also members council member. A few trips ago, we came to Manchester on a council meeting, and we visited some of the co-op academy. The layout was quite wonderful, and it's very, what I would say, inspirational to see that we are going beyond our traditional ways of doing things as a cooperative group, as a co-op as well. Recently, I visited some family members in Excess, and what I saw is a few co-op academics who are particularly not very filled up. I live in London. I also represent London constituency in Members' Council. And I remember about 5-10 years ago, the City of London Corporation took a project of turning struggling secondary schools into academy, which now turned into success. Islington councils, I live in Islington, I do have a number of struggling secondary schools. Westminster Council, Hackney as well has a few. In terms of the project that we have as Co-op Academy, why can we not speed this up and come into London? It would be a great success. We have a lot of influx of people that have migrated into London recently, internationally. There's a lot of number of waiting list in secondary school and primary schools as well. We can make it a success, and it would happen if we sort of touch a light into this section.
Thank you. So extension of our academies programme outside of where we are currently, which is across the M62 effectively. Thank you. I'm going to come to yes, you had your hand up. Yes, yes, sorry.
Hi, my name's Shaz Rahman. I'm representing Co-op Press on the National Members Council, but I'm speaking as an individual member. So Co-op Live is very nice. It's very swanky. Good to see that the ventilation units aren't falling on us. But what my point is that the high-end music industry is doing incredibly well, like record tour sales. But what is really struggling, what is dying, a very slow, torturous death, is the grassroots music venue scene. Like, venues are going out of business every month that have been around for decades. And whilst this is very good and an opportunity, Could we use some of that money from the Co-op Foundation that's going from here to support grassroots music venues that are really, really struggling?
So, thank you. Thank you. So just to turn that into a statement, you want us to begin to put more investment potentially into music venues, local music venues, yeah? Brilliant. Thank you very much. There's a lady here. I'm going to come to you, and then you, yeah?
Hi there. My name is Mitch, and I'm a co-op owner member. I was so impressed by the statistics and the data on the increase in younger membership. That is gold dust. And I've also recently seen quite a lot of data that says that the loneliness epidemic is actually most profound in the young, and we know the mental health issues that bring with that. And I have a 16-year-old son who is now incredibly passionate about the co-op. And I just think that the unique thing, the co-op has many unique things, but one of the unique things that we have is physical stores in local communities. And the opportunity, I think, to engage the younger members in person, face-to-face, to help with mental health issues, but also to bring them into the movement at the beginning of their lives, I think is enormous. And I wondered whether we could look at, I was thinking like the 16 to 24-year-old rail card, but you know what I mean, how we could use a membership scheme that was specifically focused at cultivating the movement and helping a kind of a mutual win-win with our younger members.
Thank you very much. So again, focusing on young people, both to help them, but also to bring them forward as future cooperators. Thank you very much. The gentleman here and then the lady there. So, Katie with the stripy top.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Cormac. I'm a co-op member. I think one of the things that makes co-op unique, just kind of following on from the previous person, is that the kind of member ownership and the democracy. And I think the stuff that was talked about in the presentation earlier about the reintroducing co-op, the member owner thing, I think is absolutely fantastic, spot on. Because I think that's the issue, is there's a lot of people have kind of given up on the idea of we can change things, or the idea of by coming together we can actually make a difference. Whatever we do, things will just stay the same. So I think that's the thing I would push, is emphasizing that the member ownership, the fact that by coming together we can actually make a difference. I do that as well for the general election, make sure, get people registered, get people IDs, use the kind of the community notice boards in the shops to try to make sure that people's voices are heard in that. And yeah, I think I noticed, was it a bit of a change from member to member owner? I think that's a good, I thought that was a clever kind of naming change. But yeah, pushing that kind of sense of ownership and cooperation, essentially.
Thank you. And I think that point, I think sometimes you can get beaten down by, can you change anything? Honestly, you can. The cooperative movement changes things. I can point you to examples and examples and examples. And when we work together as a movement, we change shed loads. So we need to keep that ambition and keep that fire. Thank you. Lady with a pink shirt and dark top. I've got time for one more after that, if you can.
Evelyn Godfrey, Director of the Mid-Counties Co-op, but this time I'm speaking with my other co-op hat on. I'm the Secretary of the Cooperative Parties National Black, Asian and Minorities Network. We have prepared a consultation document for all our African and Asian and minority descent members in the Co-op Party. And we have come up against, it's taken us a couple of years to do this, to prepare this consultation policy document. And we have come up against gatekeepers in the Co-op Party and the cooperative movement who are preventing us from circulating this to our own members. And the voices of our African and Asian descent members are being silenced at the moment. And I would like to make a personal appeal to Shireen, the Chief Executive of the Co-op Group, for her support in getting our members' voices heard across the cooperative movement. And I will be following up with an email to Shireen. But I would like all the members to know that we're struggling at the moment to have our members' voices heard in the cooperative movement.
Thank you. And it's worth reflecting that the first principle of cooperation is voluntary and open membership for everybody, which is why I think diversity and inclusion is so fundamental to being a cooperative. So thank you for raising the issue. The last last observation I'm going to take, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you very much for this session, because it's been really interesting. We've talked about environmental issues, local sourcing, fair trade, and now fair opportunity for all. Now, I am all in favour of the massive recruitment we've done with millions of new members, and of course listening to their views, which is important. But we're here at an AGM on a sunny Saturday in Manchester, and we are the active members. And we also need to look to the future. All these new members need to be listened to, of course, but they also have to be educated about the co-op difference, our values and principles. We need to be investing in education and training of all these new members so that they understand what they've actually joined. They haven't joined a Tesco club card, they've joined the co-op. And the co-op is something really important to all of us here, and we want to see it protected. So we need to, as members here, be looking to create the co-op leaders of the future, and we need to do that through education and training. So in addition to the massive costs of recruiting new members, can we also have a massive budget for education and training, particularly in co-op values and principles, so that they understand exactly what they're joining? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. This is the first time we've run a session like this, and as Debbie said before, the vast majority of today's AGM has been about hearing from you. I confess, when I got on the stage, I thought this could be tumbleweed all the time. It hasn't been. There's been people who haven't been able to get their voices heard. If you haven't been able to make your point, stick a post-it note on, please do, because you can do that right away. If you haven't yet completed the member survey, please do so. That QR code, which I believe you point your phone at. Apologies, Rob, I'm not great at tech. You can use that to fill out the member survey. Look out for your emails the 25th of May and the 22nd of June. Continuing the conversation, joining events, opportunities to explore this a bit further. And the most important thing is all the content we've got today and the content we've got from the online colleagues and the joining events and the survey and all the other things we know about what members think, that will shape our social value approach. How can we give back the most and support most member owners and their communities? The final point I would make, your local council members, you've heard from a number today. If you have a thought, an idea, an observation, an ask, speak to your council members. They are your representatives. Speak to them, talk to them, let them raise it with the board or with the executive. Thank you again for engaging so well on this. I really appreciate fantastic content there. I'll hand back to our chair, Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I think we would all recognise, actually, taking a step into the unknown, which Paul has done for us today, is a very, very brave thing to do. And I would just like to get us to thank him once again. He's done a fabulous job. So we're almost at the end. I want to welcome back those of you who have joined us online, and thank you to everybody who's helped facilitate the session. There are other people out there facilitating the online session, and I think that's been a really, really great time. You have given us an enormous amount to work with, and I am so, so delighted that you have done that. I'm absolutely sure, by the way, that the folk online have also given us lots to work with. And when you combine what we've done here today in the last hour or so with what's been done online and with the survey, and I'm going to say it again, I'm afraid, it's open until the 24th of May. Please, please, please do complete it. And we've also got all the insight that we collect on a regular basis. So I think we'll have a really rich picture of what you, our member owners, worry about, care about, and want us to see, to take action on. We will take all of that insight, and it will help us shape our plans to, as we develop those plans, to make a difference and to add value to society and the communities which our member owners live in. So we're at a really pivotal point in the development of those plans, and quite frankly, this could have not come at a better time. As Paul has said, we are determined to keep the discussion going. Please look out for the joining opportunities. The dates are up there. We really do want to hear more of you. And as we co-create this, I think it's really important that we continue that conversation. What our member owners say will shape what we do. It's what ownership means and really means to the teams that you've seen here today. That, members, concludes this year's AGM. Thank you so much for being here, online or in person, and for everything that you do for our co-op on a daily basis. Please do give us the feedback. We want this to be your event, much more your event going forward. There's hard copies available at registration. There's the QR code, which I do know how to do, Paul, just so you know. So thank you for making my first meeting a really memorable event, and it's been great to see so many of you here today. Have a great afternoon.